That's a hot take.
Swinging around American flag, because that's what America's supposed to be. It's supposed to look like permanently chill.
The insurance commercial has a fat ass, but like no personality.
Yeah, I feel like sitting here and listening to this.
No, god damn it. Isaac, New Noise is not the first fucking refused album.
Rip Isaac a new one today. Do you know what I mean? Like...
Don't touch my records. Ever.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Hot Takes.
Hi.
Hot Takes is a bi-weekly Vaporwave talk show with myself, Young Shido, and...
Skeleton Lipstick.
every other Monday, we like to join you guys in the internet realm to discuss our hot takes, opinions, argue a little bit, debate a little bit, geek out a little bit, and just spend time as a community just enjoying music and art. We're going to need y'all's help to... you're going to need... okay, just muted that. Let me know if the audio's coming in good, too quiet, too loud, if I need to mute Dr. Chris, if the music's too loud, too quiet. Fibre's running a little late, but should be here on time. Fibre is our... Oh, thanks, Sodicus, for hosting. As you can see, our special guest of the night. But to allow our good friend Fibre some time to get settled in, we're going to go ahead and launch today's episode with a... I guess we'll start with a recommendation. I feel like the hot take and then the guest makes more sense. What do you think?
That makes perfect, elegant. It's an elegant idea. That's how we should be doing it.
Let's do that.
I think this is how we do it usually.
That's going to be the routine from now on. We're figuring this out live, y'all.
I think that kind of already was the routine. We just didn't even realize it.
Right. Okay, so I actually have a two-part recommendation because I want to showcase a member of the community, but then I also want to showcase something that I found lately that was kind of cool. I'll start with my my find. It's not really a Vaporwave album, but Teen Days from the early 2010s chillwave movement is still making music. Did you know that?
I love Teen Days. I didn't know they were still making music, and I love Teen Days. I once got compared in somebody's review to a combination of Panda Bear, Teen Days, and Neon Indian. So I was like, I love Teen Days. That was such a wonderful compliment to get compared to Teen Days.
That is a glowing... Well, so I don't remember exactly when it came out, but it was maybe last year or the year before. They have an album out called Bioluminescence. And it really kind of showcases kind of the more ambient and kind of like housey side of Teen Days' repertoire. There's also some really, really enjoyable kind of like almost Boards of Canada-esque stuff going on in there with like a little kind of decayed sounding guitar part. Very, very, very early Tycho sounding kind of almost. Or like if Lone was much, much less danceable. Which would kind of be like Crippling Lone a little bit, but almost like a combination of like old Boards of Canada and Tycho. Very beautiful. Highly recommended.
That's a really good combination.
Honestly, I was blown away. I heard the opening track, Near, which is a slow burner, and it's a very like emotional kind of melodramatic song. It doesn't really sound like a chillwave song, but I liked it a lot, and I can definitely recommend if any of you guys are chillwave fans or fans of vapor adjacent music, check out Teen Days' Bioluminescence. He's still going strong. He has a side project as well, a more like lo-fi house-esque side project, but we won't get into that. That's my find. I also want to showcase Luxury Elite has a new EP out, y'all. Just dropped the other night. Dance Party EP. You got to check out Luxury Elite's latest drop. Kind of out of nowhere. Obviously, I knew about it, but kind of out of nowhere. All of a sudden, she drops 3 banging tracks that I guess are...
I can't wait. I haven't heard this yet. I can't wait to hear it.
I guess they're outtakes.
I've been out of town all
weekend. Yeah, bro. You've had a very, very, very busy weekend. So if you haven't checked out Luxury Elite's Dance Party EP, somebody, Lux is in the chat, go ahead and link that shit. Lux Theme and a couple other really cool tracks that she's been working on lately. Very, very up-tempo, very upbeat, very fun. They fit in well with her aesthetic and her vibe and her sound and her look, but I guess they are more like outtakes from the upcoming album. So yeah, definitely recommend you check out Teen Days' Bioluminescence and Luxury Elite's Dance Party EP. Looks like a couple people linked it. Thanks, Chris.
I mean, Lux linked it too, but I didn't see she linked it. But yeah,
That's all I got. You said you had a hot take ready for us.
Oh, sure. All right. Hot take. Okay. So this hot take is a bit more themed towards DJing. Okay?
Cool.
So let's talk a little bit about DJing and moving to the next step professionally kind of with DJing, right? All right. So when we start, we obviously all start on controllers, right?
Right.
And we still mostly use controllers, and we've been sort of getting used to using controllers, but I have to say, that is really not a substitute for learning to use CDJs. I'm not saying you need to buy CDJs. I don't own CDJs.
Good.
But you're going to need to learn to use them. Like all of you guys out there, if you want to move from being considered an amateur to being seen as someone who is versatile and can work in different venues, you have to learn CDJs. This is, I used to be like a little kind of lenient on this and say like, well, it's whatever equipment you have and no big deal, but like, you gotta learn to use them. You have to learn to use them. Like, I mean, Isaac, you've used them before, right? Obviously,
like
I know you
once.
have, and yeah, but you knew you had to use them, so you learned.
Yeah,
to use
which
them,
means you
and
have to
were
learn
con- and
record
you did
box.
it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you need to learn to how to. Yeah, I mean, I actually never even DJ'd with record box in my life, but I just use it to format my USB stick.
Okay.
And I just put it in the thing, and I put it in the. I've set cues on record box.
Nice.
Like just by playing it without hooking up a controller to it.
Mm-hmm.
I've set my cues on it before, but I've actually never DJ'd with record box. I've DJ'd on CDJs.
Yeah.
But this is really important. I'm not going to lie that if you want to play big clubs, if you want to move from being an amateur DJ who does house parties or basement shows, and you want to be taken a little bit more seriously, or you want to move to the next echelon, like, you don't have to buy CDJs. That's absolutely not necessary.
Oh, yeah, good.
But maybe you can rent them and try them out, or maybe you have someone who's a friend and you can get used to playing them. But like, you can't use the excuse of, oh, I'm not familiar enough. Oh, I'm too nervous. Oh, I need to practice a lot. Let me tell you guys, I never really had a chance to practice on CDJs. I was given the residency position at the Barbary to do my party, and they have CDJs because they're a club. So do you know what I did? I went on YouTube and I looked up how to use CDJs, and I was like, okay, all right, okay, got it. It's fine, because you can do all your practicing on the controllers, right? If you've been DJing with controllers, guess what? You could probably DJ with CDJs. Like,
right.
People need to stop
It's pretty
being
similar.
afraid of. People need to stop being afraid of things they don't understand, because if you're a DJ, like, that's part of the job, is like, you have to be comfortable moving into whatever you're given to do what you need to do. Okay.
Right.
Because being a DJ, it's not like a show, right? It's a party. You have to actually just be able to not worry about yourself and worry about the party. You have to learn CDJs. If you want to be taken seriously, if you don't want the techno people to laugh at you, like,
Right.
you got to do it. And like, let me tell you, the people who know how to use CDJs are like 20 times more likely to get booked by me at Turn One Chill than people who don't. Because it's a bitch, man. It's a bitch when people come in and bring all their different controllers and give me this shit about, I'm too nervous to use that. I'm so comfortable with this. Motherfucker, you're a DJ. You're moving into different echelons of your career. Get fucking comfortable. Like, I don't have time to handhold.
So that mixer you bought is collecting dust now, I see.
Uh-huh. And like, here's the thing. Like, once again, you gotta learn to use them. Like, unless you're like a big Vaporwave person, like, I don't fucking know, St. Pepsi or James from DDS, like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to learn to use these. And like, here's the other thing. You can, or you can bring yourself a controller maybe that's a little bit small and is like an all-in-one controller, like one of those Denon pieces that I've seen, like I've seen people like Frank Jobsy or Wizard of Loneliness have. Like, you can bring that too.
I'm tired
of computers. I'm tired of computers in the front of the DJ stands at fucking parties. Nobody does that. Stop doing that. Like, you can get used to it. And listen, if it's a show, this is different. A show is different. If you're DJing and it's a show format, right? Bring whatever you want. Bring your computer. Bring your this and that. But if it's a party where we're like, it's not about us. It's not about waiting for us to get set up. It's about it's about the crowd, and it's about crowd control. Like, I'm now switching between RCA cables without stopping music because you like brought your stuff with you, and like, there's a million things I have to set up for things that you're comfortable with. No, I'm actually thinking I don't even own CDJs myself. Okay, I actually practice on the controller as well. I set my shit up on a controller.
Well, they're like
when I go to the club-
$6,000.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think I'm going to have to invest in some so kids who are not comfortable with CDJs can just fucking come to my place and practice there. Or like, I'm literally maybe going to have to do this for the party because
BRB
like, I
moving to
can't
Philly.
have like people coming in and not being comfortable with CDJs. This is just the way it is. You know what I mean?
So you
And
must be pretty
you know
good
what
at...
else?
You must be
At what?
pretty good at beat matching by ear then.
Well, yeah, that's how else do you beat match? What do you mean?
I mean,
Like,
a lot of
you
people
just
who
set up-
use like virtual DJ or controllers just use the sync button, or they look at the waveforms.
Well,
or,
I use the sync
BPM.
button too occasionally, right? I use
Yeah.
the sync button too, but like I just listen to it in one ear and I keep hitting the fucking Q button until it lines up.
Right.
And then I loop it. Like
There you
how is that? This isn't rocket science.
Okay. Well, everybody
Right?
has different techniques, and it's always kind of cool to like watch
Well,
and learn.
this technique works. This technique is really easy to do.
This
You
guy.
listen to the fucking song in your head with like the Q button on. You hit
Right.
beep, click, click, click until it's right.
Right.
And when it's right, loop that bar. Like, you know what I mean?
It is a
Loop
lot
that
easier to
bar and
loop on
move
CDJs. It's kind of hard to do that on tiny controllers.
And listen, if this is only for like big dance parties. Like if I was throwing a regular like a show style now, and as you have heard me say before, there's a huge difference between what a show is and what a dance party is, right? Shows about performers.
Mm-hmm.
The people who go to shows are there to see the performers, right? Then
Right.
only the performers. And it's not a dance party where people just wander off the street or people get a flyer for it and they see what the format is. They're not even really looking at who's going to be there. They're looking at what the format is for the event, whether it's a goth
Mm-hmm. Who's
party,
gonna be
goth
there,
dance
where
party,
it's at,
indie
yeah.
dance party, techno dance party. They kind
Absolutely.
of look at the people who are playing, but if it's a dance party, this is like all about the crowd, right? And the crowd is not, it's not about you. So like a lot of people come in who are just artsy kids who want to see what's going on, or regulars who usually come to the club, or even just people off the
Right.
street. They walk in, right? And then
Yup.
we convert them into the Vaporwave world,
Hell
right?
yeah.
That's how we do this shit, right?
Hell yeah.
That's how we fucking do
And
this.
thank God, a lot of the stuff that we play is...
so that means there's not as much understanding or forgiveness for people waiting for people to set up.
Oh,
The
absolutely
show,
not.
we take like the 10 minutes in between each person to set up and let them get comfortable. There is no like, that's like the thing about it. Here's the trade-off with a dance party, right? Is that you'll get a bigger crowd for a dance party than you do a show. You'll get more people interested in a dance party than you will for a show.
Right.
But there's a little less forgiveness for if you fuck up at a
True.
dance party
If
than
you
a
don't
show.
beat
At a
match
dance
right.
party, if the music stops. Let's not even get the beat matching. Let's just say the music stops. Then it's like you had one job, DJ. You had one
Exactly.
job, and they're so mad at
Exactly.
you. You have actually many jobs as a DJ, right?
Right.
You're controlling the energy of the crowd. You're moving things forward. You're bringing them places and bringing them out of places in a gradual way. But they don't care. To them, it's you have one job, the music. You have one job. The music's supposed to play.
Yo!
Like, so speaking of, is Fibre coming in soon? Speaking
Yeah,
of that,
he just jumped
Fibre
in.
uses CDJs, and the first time I saw Fibre was at Pad Chennington's event, right? Aesthetic Nights, and Fibre was killing it on CDJs, and he's like, I've never used these before.
Are you fucking
now that-
serious? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a fucking professional. Like
So-
he knows how to roll with the punches. You got to
That-
be professional if you want to be a DJ. It's very different than being just a straight up artist. You know what I mean? Artists we have some sensitivity for. There's none of that sensitivity in the DJ world.
Oh, no, absolutely
Get your
not.
shit
If you're not
together and
bringing
learn
the party
CDJs,
vibes, you're
guys.
off.
Or else you're never going to get to the next echelon. You don't have to use them all the time. You don't have to use them at every gig. I go to gigs and there's no CDJs. Guess what? I bring my controller. I'm back to that.
Right.
But honestly, but you gotta know how to use them, or else, like, and let me tell you, like, I'm gonna maybe like really start being a little bit more serious with that with Terminally Chill, because it's just either CDJs or standalone controller. But I'm tired of
Right.
computers all the time.
Like Fantacat
and
has that
also, like,
XDJ RX2, and that's
she
very
does.
similar.
Hey, she does.
I kind of
Exactly.
really
She
want
has
one of those, man.
Pat has something like that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Frank has something like that. I believe
Sick.
Wal, Wizard of Loneliness. He's got something like that. I know Randy's got all kinds of different stuff,
yeah.
right? All kinds of dented equipment, But like all these people, they know how to get shit done quickly. They're very professional. All those people I just mentioned are like extremely professional people. They're like on time. They have their shit together. They have their sets together. The music doesn't stop when they're performing, and like. That's the deal, guys. Like, it's like I used to think it wasn't a big deal, but just being in the DJ world for longer and longer, you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
yeah,
man,
you're
it's just
there.
like, they're going to look at you. They're going to look at you. You're going to look at you like you're an amateur if you can't use them. It is what it is. Like the techno people, the promoters, the club owners, they're going to like look you up and down like you're an amateur if you don't know how to use them. So Unless you're really unless you're really big performer, like you're gonna want to have this edge, or else you're gonna be behind. And like, don't be afraid of them. They're not that hard.
Right.
They're really not. Like, just fucking have cool music ready to go.
And the 4 on the floor format makes it really easy. If you're doing future funk or lo-fi house, it's just boom, 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 boom. How do you fuck that up?
Well, I don't know. I can tell you fuck that up. It's because like sometimes it's like sometimes you can't really. There is no intro in some of those songs, right? Like there's no 4-beat intro with just drums, and sometimes there's a lot of shit going on in those songs too, and like sometimes the sampling is like a little woozy on off. You can totally fuck it up. I mean, you can fuck up anything you want to fuck up, right?
Absolutely.
And it's usually you fuck it up.
Trying to be
nervous,
encouraging
right?
here. Yeah. Oh, okay.
You usually fuck it up.
He dropped out.
Fibre, oh fuck! All right. Well, bring it back. Well, I guess we'll be back again. Sorry, I know that's making you.
I got a trim today, and now my double chin's showing. What's up, y'all?
Once again, guys, like, I don't have CDJs. I practice on a controller, and I still use a controller. And if I'm going to a place that doesn't have CDJs, I'm going to bring my controller.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and wise words from...
No excuse anymore at this point. If you want to move up to the echelon and play big shows or big venues or big clubs, it also looks stupid, like when you have the computer in front of you. I'm sorry. It looks like you're doing homework.
What the fuck? That's funny. Wise words from the sage, Skeleton Lipstick, inventor of the first Vapor Dance Party. Terminally chill.
Yeah, and it's expensive. You know what I mean? I get it. Like it's like, but figure it out. Just
average
don't buy
controller
them somewhere
enjoyer.
else, or just fucking go in there, and it's just like anything else in life. It's like you really don't know how to use it till you're forced to use it, and if you fuck it up, and there's stakes. You know what I mean? Like, once again, it's just not. It's a much less forgiving world in DJ land than it is in artist land. So like, just know that if you want to be a DJ, just you need to have thick skin, and you need to beat your nerves. You know what I mean?
I feel like
these shit that you're not always comfortable with. You know how many times I go to a DJ gig and like nothing is fucking set up and nobody knows how to set anything up, and I don't even know how to set anything up because it's not my fucking club or not my fucking venue space. All the fucking time. All the time I go to these venues and like the sound guy's like, or he's not, or he's absent, or the promoter I'm working with has no idea what to do, or I'm the promoter and I get there and the club's not set up and the sound system isn't working. I mean, at Terminally Chill NorCal, just this weekend, right? We get there, right? I'll wait till Fibre gets here to tell the story, but it's pretty funny.
You know what? He says he's good to go and everything works.
All right, long story short, though, actually, no, we'll just wait till Fibre gets here. Let me get his opinion.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and bring him on in? Let me get this TV static taken off.
Let's bring in Fibre right now, the
we're gonna have
fantastic,
to,
inimitable, future funk pioneer, Montaime Records owner, opening up a new studio recently.
What? He has a studio?
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe that's what,
Hey, you're on here twice. You're on here twice. This is awesome. I'm going to have to set up the capture for Fibre, but go ahead and unmute yourself, buddy. If you can hear us, go ahead and bring yourself on in. Get on camera. We are ready for you. Oh, my God. This looks terrible.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
We're getting some audio from you. Hey! Well, you look a lot like Dr. Chris right now, but hold tight while I fix.
He's in my section right now.
Oh, my God.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I surely
can. I can hear you.
Yeah, so that was a weird bug that was going on right now. Like, I set all of this up at my fiance's place because I can't really do it at home because of some extenuating circumstances. And I set everything up. I was ready to go, and then I was like, oh god, my microphone keeps cutting out because there's this glitch with this stupid Scarlet interface with just Discord. Just Discord. Basically, I had to pay right now for a $100 program.
No.
So that I can reroute my mic audio. I needed it anyways. I needed
what is it, loopback or whatever?
But,
Guys, I'm so sorry about the craziness that I have going on with the.
No, it's fun. I'm enjoying this weird version of Tetris that's happening on the screen right now.
This is the anybody who uses OBS knows exactly what I'm doing. But anyways, we're so excited to have you, Alex.
That's why I'm glad you do this.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you.
I love the shirt that you have on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Super cool looking.
It's funny. I have this shirt that I wear a lot at events, and then there's another shirt that I wear that it's a Mayoko shirt. I don't know if you've seen the Twitter artist Mayoko. She does a lot of really cool anime
lower Fibre's volume a tiny bit.
Lower Fibre. All right.
Yeah. Let me.
Do you want to do it, Alex, or you want me to get it?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
I don't
actually
know.
clipping.
You
so
got it?
Give me a quick second. Is that better?
Yeah,
That's better.
chat. Let us know. Let us know if you can hear Fibre, if he sounds okay. If you want me to mute him.
Volumes are with everybody.
Future funk.
Hell yeah. There we go. Yeah, man. What are those Game Boys? Looks like a Game Boy Advance, an original Game Boy.
Yeah, they're like nunchucks.
Oh,
like a
hell
SNES
yeah.
controller on here.
I
I got
love
it
it.
at Magfest when I performed Magfest first. So
What is
yeah.
Magfest?
You
have
don't
to-
know about Magfest?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't know what Magfest?
Oh my God.
He's not on the East Coast.
No.
Magfest is like this convention that goes on in like National Harbor, Maryland, really close to DC and like
Okay.
Alexandria. And the main
Gotcha.
premise of it is like, you know how there's like anime conventions and like comic book conventions
yeah.
and conventions for tech stuff and nerd stuff and whatnot.
Gotcha.
Magfest is like all of that combined into one.
Oh,
So there's
wow.
art,
Okay.
There's anime, there's music, there's performances from live artists, niche performances.
Oh, man. Like kinda everything goes?
A lot
They
of
do, like,
artists set up
they
booths.
do-
It is amazing.
Isaac, they do like
Amazing.
parties in the hallway of like hotel rooms like all
Yes.
night.
It
Oh,
is.
holy
People
shit.
are partying all night long.
It's really fun.
All of the shows, the last show that I did at the last Magfest was insane. I actually had like a head, like one of the heads at a department at Magfest contact me lately.
That's so
about
cool,
a
dude.
project that I can't really disclose
Hell yeah.
much info about, but it was really exciting. It was because you guys saw that phone number thing that I
Yes,
put up.
I did.
It was
I
like
did see
yeah,
that.
it was to promote some new tracks and whatnot, and the voicemail kind of goes to like this like preview that I have especially created for the phone number when people call. So it's like
Gotcha.
a sneak peek of the song, but it's unique to the phone number itself. And I opened up that line because it's just a Google Voice line. Discoholic and I did something very similar. I was actually the one that showed him how to do like the Discoholic
No way.
anonymous line.
Oh, wow.
That's so
yeah,
sick.
Yeah, because he wanted to do that, and we set up the phone number like once when he like came over, and basically like I pretty much like I was really bored at work like last week, and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna start picking up calls. So I posted, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm on the line. Call me. Let me know what's on your mind. And I got some really nice calls. You know, some people that like said that like, you know, my music, like they heard it at a very specific important like part of their like life, or they met somebody really important, or like they have really good memories like listening to like a track off of an album that I put out, or like a single that I put out when I was like 17, 18. And
Sick.
I forgot to like pretty much like set that line back on Do Not Disturb later in the day. So I check my email and I have like a transcribed voicemail that's like, hey, I don't know if this is your number or not, but I'm one of the heads at one of the departments that's like running Magfest, and I want to talk to you. You know what? I'll just DM you on Twitter. Okay, bye. And I like immediately called them back, and they were like, oh, I didn't expect you to actually call me back. And yeah, we discussed.
Oh, wow, that's so
there's
cool.
some stuff in the works.
I'm
Dope.
really
Absolutely.
excited to
I
hear
didn't
more
believe
about
it
that.
when I saw it. I like freaked out.
You deserve it, bro.
It's
You've
amazing
been working
news,
so
man.
hard for many, many
Fabulous.
years. Yeah, get it, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. Today was definitely an example of like one of my harder days. I mean, I'm pretty much back to working 40 hours a week because I have like a job over at my university. So I like worked from 9 to 5, got home, did audio engineering, planned out some Montaime releases. I'm planning like a show hopefully sometime
do
in
you
September,
sleep?
October when like the COVID. I do actually. I do. I it's funny. I usually go to bed at like now like 11:30.
Oh yeah,
45.
you did
I'm
tell
like-
me that you like to get up early.
Like, yeah, like I'm a big baby now. Like I used to go to bed at like 2 or 3 a.m. and then like my fiance and I like we started working out more and like, you know, kind of like being more fitness centric like lately.
Good on you,
So
dude.
she kind of fixed my sleep schedule. I've been waking up at like 6:30 to go to the gym. So this is actually it's going to be a pretty late night for me. But
Oh, I'm a
you know
big
what?
fan.
We appreciate it, man. We'll make it well worth
I
your
appreciate
time.
it very much, buddy. I'm a big morning person. I like getting up early in the morning. I enjoy
love it.
because I feel like when
It
I'm
has
up,
grown
it
on
just
me
gives
as
a sense
well.
of it gives me a sense of control. Like I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
good. The whole day is ahead of me now.
Yeah.
exactly.
Like you're very,
Yeah, so like Yeah, it's just really nice to be able to just wake up in the morning and get just like stuff ticked off of like,
Yeah.
this is
Absolutely.
like the shit I gotta do like every single day, and just be able to do that like earlier, and then you have the whole day to basically, you can fit in time to take care of yourself. I'm like a very big advocate for that. If there's one thing that the pandemic has really taught me, it's that, like taking care of like your mental and physical health is just as important to the creative process as everything else is. So I've really been trying to focus on that, especially because I've been sacrificing that a lot, like in school. And I kind of refuse to just go back to that like lifestyle of just like, like studying until 3 a.m. every night, waking up at like, God knows like what time, like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and just repeating the process over and over again,
it's
eating
like
cup
that's
noodles.
dude, particularly in college and stuff, that sort of behavior just gets normalized because you just go to the library and everybody else is doing it, and you're like, and everyone is exchanging their war stories about how late they were up, right? And it sucks, man. You fall into it. You're like, it feels like, oh, is that the only way to do this? And it's not.
No, it's not, and I think that like one of the things, like one of the big road blocks in my life, especially like when it came to school, was when I transferred over to computer science, because it was really something that I wanted to do. Like it's good sustainable income, and it's stuff that I'm really passionate about doing. I really like coding and just like software development in general as well. And the one thing when I was trying to get into the major, which luckily I did, were people always telling me, oh, there's this one specific class or like these two specific classes, and they're the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life.
Oh my God.
I failed that class 3 times. It was so hard. And like,
it's like a badge of
really
honor or some shit.
Like, yeah, it's like a badge of honor to like in these classes, and it really freaked me out. It freaked other people out, and it was just like. And then I got through that class, and it was hard, but it wasn't like I just put work into it, and I know that's easy to say, like, I mean, a lot of
people want to normalize that stuff because they don't want to feel bad, so they want to just make you scared too. And I don't know why people do that to each other. I mean, that's what they did with Orgo, organic chemistry, when I was in college, right?
Oh my God, I don't even. I'm so glad I didn't have to take Orgo.
No. But the thing is, it's not that big a deal.
Sounds like a character from an 80s
really
cartoon.
not that big a deal. The same way this class is like,
Orgo.
well, if you don't see it as a big deal, you don't treat it like a big deal. You treat it like it's just a normal class. Like you just get, it's a little harder, but you'll get through it. You don't have to fall into it.
Here's the thing. Like at my school, not to kind of like delve into minutes left, but the thing that one of the hardest points, like educationally for me, was not taking these specialized computer science classes that I'm taking like as I'm finalizing like my major. It wasn't any of like the work that I had to really do to get here. No, it was the prerequisites. And in that instance, I really wanted to take chemistry. So I literally took Chem 101.
Yeah.
And the only professor that actually took it, and this is going to sound like, every other college student, like probably like a broken record, but she was the only professor that was really teaching this one class at a time, and she was tenured, and she was making a lot of money, like doing research on the side, and was required to teach this one class. And she just didn't care. She didn't care if people failed. She heckled people. She pretty much made people's lives like constantly a living hell. There's like SDS, like student like disability services that, I get extended test time because I have like ADHD and whatnot, which I haven't had to use for a while, but it was something that was really important to me at the time. She insisted on having her own separate department for that testing, which was like a very like high pressure environment that was not regulated by the rest of the school. It was like, people were just like failing her class left and right, because anything lower than a C at my school is failing, right? If you get lower than a 70%, you have failed the course.
Jesus.
And it doesn't count. And I remember, the second time I retook the class, I kept, talking,
This was a prerequisite course, you said?
Yes, this is a prereq course for, and like basically.
College is such a racket, dude.
We had to meet like almost like every other day to make sure that I was like on top of the class. She would not meet with me, but her not like a TA, but it was basically like a second teacher that was kind of helping her, was trying so hard to help me. And then the main professor was just like, I don't care that you have ADHD. I don't care that you're failing my class a second time. I don't care if you think my exams are hard. tough luck,
yeah.
buddy.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
She was.
I swear every
not a
school
good
has
person.
that.
okay, so the thing about those teachers a lot of time is that especially those prerequisite courses, is a lot of these teachers who are professors are at that college because that's where they can do their research at. That's where they got hired, and then they really mostly just want to do research and do their work.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And it's not just here too.
She would
So,
always
like,
complain about that.
yeah, they don't want to do it. So I had my ex uncle-in-law is like the chemistry professor over at Columbia, basically, right? And like he's there because he has a lab there and he wants to work in the lab there, but like he doesn't have much tolerance for people who are not having trouble in chemistry, and he certainly doesn't have a lot of tolerance for the med school kids who are just taking this class.
Point?
Well, he doesn't.
What's the point then? Yeah.
He doesn't like. He doesn't like. Well, he cares about chemistry. I'm sure he might have a soft spot for people who want to go in. He wants to go in his specific field, maybe. But a lot of people are doing a prerequisite, right? And like, I think it bothers him, and I think that he doesn't
They
like
think
this.
their class is the
I think
only class you're taking.
It's like.
Well, it's just that it's not even that. He doesn't give a fuck about teaching the class, Isaac. He's there because he wants to do chemistry research, and
well, then he should make it a blow-off class.
I mean, I can see
yeah,
this
it's
professor's
chemistry. They
like
force him.
salary.
Yeah, man.
It's
Well,
ridiculous.
he has he gets a lab there. That's what he wants to do, right? Research papers and research mitochondria. But then Columbia's like, great, you can do that, but you have to teach this class. And he's like, like he just does it. They don't really want to do. They don't. Your professors don't want to teach you, by the way, guys. This isn't high school. They don't care.
They don't.
They
don't get paid based on passes.
Research. Like that's like a hard truth, man. It's like they're there to do their research. So like most of the time, these professors, when you have a problem, are like, ugh, fuck,
Exactly.
I just want to do.
That's why their
research.
office hours are like 30 minutes every other Tuesday.
They don't care about you.
I've
You knock on the door, the light turns off.
I've definitely had like the pleasure of being able to work with professors that like later on genuinely really did care about my performance and like really like wanted me to succeed. And that support system, you know, even when it comes to like creative work, is genuinely like unparalleled in terms of like, you know, what I've been able to do. It's not just me working my butt off. It's the fact that people actually like at one point like really saw that like I was able to do the things that I had set out to do. And a lot of it, like 90% of it was just like sheer stubbornness. Like just being like,
hell yeah,
screw
dude,
y'all.
tenacity.
Like I don't care how hard you make my life. Like I'm going to get through this and I'm going to be like 3 times better by the time I don't care if this breaks me. I don't care. I really don't care. When like the department head for computer science was like, dude, just go to IS. You're not going to be able to pass these classes.
Damn.
I pretty much during that meeting politely told him no.
Right.
Like, I was just like, no, and I will be back. And I did come back a year later, and then I got in.
That's what I'm talking about, bro.
How do you think I became a doctor? It's like the same shit. It's like, oh, you don't think I can do this, huh?
You don't
we got Fantacat on deck.
Oh, what's up, Fantacat? Is terminally chill NorCal manager.
Yeah,
Fantacat.
Also,
awesome.
I've always really liked seeing like the Instagram stories for like the NorCal shows. They always seem like fun.
It was so much fun.
Fantacat seems like she has a ball.
It was so much fun. It was such a great time. It was so fun. Like the venue itself, which is basically an outdoor deck, was fully packed. And then next to it, since it's sort of technically an outdoor show because it's a deck, was like a whole bunch, dozens of kids under 21 who can go to the party because they're under 21. It was so cute.
They were still dancing on the sidewalk.
There's like a dozen or so of them. There's like a dozen or so of them outside that were like because you could still hear the music and you could still see the stage. So it was so cute. They were outside. Ognos was there taking photos.
Ognos. Didn't you say you went out there and slapped them all a 5 too?
Ognos went out there. I think he took like photos of Ognos did pictures for the event, and I'm pretty sure he took like went out and talked to them.
Love
took
the
photos
homie
of the
Ognos.
Pacific Plaza guys. I went out and talked to them too, you know, because we stand with the under 21 crowd. It's just, you know, the bars, you know, that's the situation. Which brings me to a question. So that actually brings me to a thing that we were just talking about for the hot take right there.
Sure.
My opinion, hot take, and we were just mentioning it, was that if you want to DJ, specifically to DJ, and if you want to DJ parties, that is to say, right, not necessarily shows. I draw a distinction between parties and shows, right? Shows, it's about the performer. Party is about the audience. So if you want to like DJ clubs and you want to move up an echelon in your DJing acumen, you got to learn CDJs. I don't see there's any excuse, and I think
I
that
completely agree with that. That's like barely a lukewarm take in my opinion.
wow, yeah. Well, I was just telling Isaac about how when I first saw you at Pat Channington's Pat Channington's Aesthetic Nights, and you were using the CDJs. I think I talked to you afterwards. You're like, "Oh yeah, that was like my first time having to use."
That was my first.
That's
time.
amazing.
And I was like,
I mean,
that's
amazing
right there. That's a professional.
It wasn't my first time,
that's
but it was my second
natural.
time, and my first time was like a year and a half prior.
Yeah,
it was basically your first time.
So what I did was when the first time that I played on CDJs, I had no reference for what I was doing. So I could only do like really basic stuff because I had like minimal experience on Serato controllers. And that was my first Magfest performance.
Oh,
actually.
That was for Magfest?
Wow.
That was my first Magfest performance, not my second one, the one that was like a lot bigger. Mm-hmm. But the thing was that, for Aesthetic Nights, what I did was I did like a lot of research because I have friends, you know, like in like the disco scene in DC and whatnot, and a lot of them said, you know, definitely like learn how to play on CDJs. There'll be instances where, you know, you can bring your own controller, but it's a lot easier. Yeah. It's industry standard. Most clubs are going to have them.
Right.
They're already set up and they're universal. So I thought, you know, that's a good idea. And like, and that's especially like if it's the standard for DJing, then I'll try it out. My friend suggested that I like rent some out or just go to like a guitar center.
That's exactly what I was just saying before you came on. Rent them out. Or like, you know what, man? Like I didn't really know how to use them the first time I had to use them, and then like before the show, I was just on YouTube. You know what I mean? Just looking up what all the
knobs and buttons and shit do.
Yeah, if you can use a controller and you're practicing at home with a controller, that's great. It's not that big of a jump. Like you can figure it out.
It's really not.
I mean? You just have to.
As long as you know the basics of DJing, it's just that.
Isaac did the same thing. He had to do the same thing.
That actually leads to my second point that I was going to make was that I did a lot of research to try to figure out like, okay, if I can't like, cause you know, I'm still in college, so money was kind of limited at the time, especially then. So it was like, I couldn't really rent them. And like the Guitar Center that was nearby my place was so run down. They didn't even have CDJs, not even like an older model or anything like that.
Most Guitar Centers
that was that was like the closest one in my area. So what I ended up doing was researching, okay, what is the cheapest controller that I could possibly get that kind of translates over to the button layout of the CDJs? And that ended up being the DDJ 400. Still runs on record box.
Oh, okay.
I can understand. And it's a cheap controller.
I was thinking XDJs, but okay.
Yeah, no, so the DDJ 400, it's about $240. There's also a Serato version.
Yeah.
But the record box one, although I kind of hate record box.
I don't DJ with record box.
Piece of software.
I like Serato so much.
I only use record box. I only use record box to set some cues on songs that I'm going to format my USB drive for when I use a CDJ, and that's the only time I ever use record. And I just play it. I hit play.
It's just It's just infuriating sometimes.
Oh yeah, I won't use it.
Switch audio inputs or outputs. It just shits itself.
You gotta restart the whole fucking thing.
It's like record box is like in the DJing world for like development is that kid like in like your family that is like hopped up on sugar and then immediately crashes like 5 minutes after and just can't move.
No shit.
It's like
it's got all the album artwork and shit on it. Too much.
Love the metaphor. Love the metaphor, friend. I love it.
But yeah, like that's what I ended up doing, and that's what I still do for a lot of sets where, like, for example, like I just played at a party, and you know, like I played some more niche tracks, but I also played like tunes that a lot of people would like, and that's also a really important part of DJing is that if you're gonna go out and like perform or you're going to a party, know your audience. Mm-hmm. You know, it's good to look down and just like you being in the moment kind of makes you look more professional, especially if you're looking down at the decks. But what I personally do is I look up at the audience and I will kind of like gauge like the vibe of the room depending on how people are reacting to the music that I'm playing. So for example, I just recently played a party where a lot of people really enjoyed like most of the tracks that I played. And then I dropped Sebastian's Army. And then I looked up and people were dancing, but they were like, and then I was like, right next to the next one.
Reset the vibe.
That'll happen
Reset
when you
the
play
vibe.
Blockhouse, bro.
Reset the vibe. Absolutely.
And then 15 seconds after, I was back into a song that was a lot more high energy. The crowd liked it a lot more. And I just try to like pay attention to those like moments, you know, because most of the time people, I feel like at this point, especially like in terms of like transitions versus like track selection, I feel like if you're starting off DJing, track selection is going to be a lot more important than your transitions. A lot of people that are starting off
important
in Future Funk and in Vaporwave. I mean, I started off with just like 2.5-minute Future Funk tracks that literally had 2-second intro and outros. So I learned everything that I know from Eridus. Like, I started off on hard mode from the get-go.
Those are hard to mix. And there's a lot of melody too.
That really helped.
They're not made for DJing.
Future mix.
Yeah, if you ever get stuck, like, and you're stuck in the vibe, or you don't know what to mix out to next, or you don't know what you're doing, you should just have like a little folder that you maybe even label. What I do is I have a folder that's just labeled hits. And so if I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, I'm just like, fuck it, let's go to this folder. Let me see what I can pull out.
Just play Life After Love, bro.
And then, well, yeah, and then even if it's not even, if it's a hit, and if you know if it hits hard, and you know people either know it really well, or you know it's going to work really well for the audience, like, fuck it, don't even worry about mixing at this point. Just fucking reverb or dub echo that shit out, and then launch the next track, launch the big track.
Exactly.
Don't even worry about it, and you'll hit them hard. They won't even care about your transition, and then you can reset it and figure out what to do next.
They're drunk and just want to dance anyways.
That's what I like about including like hits in sets, because if you have something that is like kind of like, I feel like if it's kind of just like as hitting like in terms of like energy level as like a hit, like for example a song that like kind of sounds similar to Music Sounds Better With You, that is made by like a smaller artist or something like that, people are generally still gonna enjoy it if you incorporate that in. Yeah, and it's like kind of a neat way that I've kind of noticed over time, just kind of like gauging the feel of an audience, to like sneak in tunes that like
I was gonna say that's like a rule.
In one context that wouldn't enjoy it in like another, you know?
Right.
And that's where I go back to in terms of like track selection being a lot more important than your transitions, right? Like
it's absolutely true.
Transitions, but like that's what's going to drive the party. If you have great transition on shit songs, it's, I mean...
110%.
Cool transition, bro.
The transitions are important for, like, a guest mix for a website or something. The track selection's important for the parties.
I feel like the entire package should be like professionally laid out. You should, you know, I practice a little bit ahead of time, not too much, but just to kind of get a feel for what I'm playing. I know some people don't really practice that much.
Yeah, I don't really practice that much, so much as I like think really hard about what songs I'm going to have ready for me the fastest.
I guess that's a form of practice.
Well, I mean, it's
You're
DJing.
practicing in your brain.
I mean, it's DJing. This isn't rocket science. This isn't music production, but it is a lot about feel. It is a lot about vibe. It is a lot about who's there and and crowd control. And it's like, so I spend a lot more time thinking about the music I'm bringing with me, and also my playlists and how I'm organizing it, and like what's going to be easy for me to find, how well I know my songs too. You know what I mean?
I actually took a pretty big risk at like the most recent event that I did. I played a party for one of my friends, and at the end, it was actually on my fiance and I's like anniversary, which was on the 30th of July.
Oh, congratulations!
Happy anniversary.
It was great. Thank you. And it was like a great show. The atmosphere was really great. There was probably about like 40 or 50 people there, and then I ended it with me singing, like performing Virtual World.
That's
like
actually
I love that.
That's phenomenal, and that's actually kind of when
scared me.
Well, you did, but you did it. That's amazing. Congrats.
I told myself like, there's no way that I'm going to finish this event without singing the song, and I called Sarah like 5 hours before, and I was like, I am so nauseous, I feel like I'm about to throw up. And she's like, why? It's just a live set. And I was like, I can't tell you.
Me before hot takes every day.
You know, that's really an
That's
interesting
amazing
thing too. Is that, you know what else is amazing about that? It's like when, and for parties in general, it's not even just picking the songs. It's when you're going to play them, what's going to happen next.
Absolutely.
So one of the other things that I know is, especially when I do Terminally Chill, is like I have multiple DJs that are there, and like I know you have to know each performer's what type of energy they usually bring and what type of songs they like to play and like who they are in general and what they're going to do, and that's kind of like how you organize when they're going to go on sometimes, right? And you know, you kind of sometimes, a lot of times I have to shuffle them just depending on what the crowd's doing a lot of the time too. Like, okay, now you go on. Okay, now you go on. And so, you know, doing that song last that's the perfect time to do it, obviously, right? It's how you close things out.
It's like it was like a lower energy song compared to like a lot of the stuff that I was playing that was actually kind of nearing towards
put the slush wave guy at the
135.
end.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what's funny,
sure.
actually, and I do want to admit this because we were kind of talking. I guess we were talking. You guys mentioned some stuff about my favorite Animal Collective album, which I didn't really have an answer to.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I actually am not very clued in on like the subgenres of vaporwave. I haven't really been like I've been talking to a lot of vaporwave people, but I don't really pay attention to like slush wave or like signal wave or some of those other subgenres. So I personally actually have no clue what's going on like when it comes to that.
That's really interesting.
Completely not versed. Like,
well,
I've been
yeah,
focusing like a lot of my efforts like in talking to people on like new disco and like hyperpop and like that's been kind of like you know the communities that I've been
like French house and stuff. Well, like, is there anything that's come out
that's always kind of been?
Yeah. Well, do you have any like
in terms of what though?
Like, do you have any like vaporwave favorites? I mean, anything you've been listening to lately?
Yeah. My top vaporwave favorite of all time is Ice in the Veins by Contact Lens.
Oh, that's a badass album, dude. I love Ice in the Veins.
That's my favorite album. That's my favorite. One of my favorite vaporwave albums.
So yeah, I agree, and I've never really personally focused on even the concept of subgenre that much. It's usually just like I have this concept of vaporwave as like this big net for just a lot of different ideas and sounds and people I like. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. True.
You know, I don't even have a fucking subgenre for what I do in vaporwave. Like I don't even fit in any subgenre for it. So why?
Yeah.
Everyone is just people to me and artists, and people like subgenres. They like to be subgenre aficionados, and that's super cool. That's awesome. That's really cool. We all interpret music and we all process it different ways. You know what I mean? And I just see like nodes of people that I find interesting or artists I find interesting, and they can label themselves whatever they want underneath this big little umbrella.
That's what I find interesting. There's like a lot of discourse about like whether or not like vaporwave or like it's like subgenres like can actually be like described as like just like one cohesive like musical group. I've never really seen it that way, especially not lately. I think George Clanton was the person that described vaporwave being just this like mishmash of like different musical like inspirations, genres, ideas, and that it doesn't necessarily fall into this subcategory of like
more of an ethos
necessarily anymore.
It doesn't in the same way that punk or goth or other things that are paradigms don't really either, right? You can't really like what does goth sound like? You know, what are you going to say?
True. It's too broad.
And you know, it's funny because like kind of being like and discussing with people like that have been a part of like different online scenes, like again, I keep mentioning like Hyperpop because that's just been something that I've been very like heavily invested in terms of like listening to it, kind of like trying to like
understand
analyze how a lot of the songwriting is done. And
there's something to learn. Always.
I've learned that just as like all like kind of like online genres, is, like there's this like paradigm I guess between like vaporwave and hyperpop, in which they're just this collection of people that don't necessarily have just like one cohesive like musical idea that they're bringing together. Sure, there are songs that sound more like 100 gecs, you know, or like
emblematic of the theme.
Yeah, or emblematic of the theme, you know, distorted, octave, like one octave pitched up vocals, parallel distortion on a ton of stuff, clippings, but like, but then there's like other tracks that like, that you would never like really, I would never personally classify under hyperpop, which are definitely a part of the community that, you know, it's just it's on the Hyperpop playlist.
Right.
Which is also something very interesting. You guys know that like the term Hyperpop like was entirely created by the person who curated that Spotify playlist? Did you guys know that?
The person that invented the term is the person that curated the playlist.
The term. Yeah.
Oh wow.
No.
It was just this like community of people that were making like
genres in the Spotify
electronic
age.
music or like electronic punk music. Jedwill actually has a fantastic not discography, a fantastic documentary on this on YouTube of like what is hyperpop, who created the hyperpop playlist, and like the terminology behind it. And it's very interesting how like vaporwave was kind of like this main idea that diverged over time, and then hyperpop was always just like this. It kind of started off as just this like collection of artists that were just doing different things, and then a corporation came along and kind of tried to group them all into like one little bubble. And that's actually there's this kind of like weird phenomenon that I see where people that are part of the hyperpop scene either joke about the word hyperpop or actually don't really like being associated with that term actually at all. But what other ways?
That happens with vaporwave too.
That happens a lot with that happened a lot with punk. That happens a lot with vaporwave. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
I guess it happens a lot.
It's just interesting that the history behind like the term.
That's funny. I didn't know about the corporatization history right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
I think in the Jedwill documentary, he tries to trace down who was the curator and who came up with that name, because if you look at the hyperpop playlist, there's not just hyperpop musicians on there. There's like Skrillex, Diplo, like various electronic musicians that you wouldn't really
hopefully they have a good
under
chunk of
hyperpop.
PC music's discog on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's kind of like adjusted to that more over time. But like in its earlier form, there was like tunes that were from just like random electronic artists, and the term hyperpop wasn't really. It wasn't really described, like it wasn't really like associated with the type of music that people just kind of automatically think about, like nowadays.
You said an interesting thing a little while back about hyperpop, which was like, well, I wanted to get involved in understand hyperpop because I wanted to learn some of the production tricks, some of the things they do to maybe incorporate. I'm assuming to maybe incorporate, because that's the thing I think that's really important for people to do is to study some music. Sometimes people don't even bother to listen to a lot of different types of electronic music because they just, I don't think I like that. Oh, that's not my thing. Or, this is my thing. But I really think it's important to listen to these other types of music to see if there's always something to learn from them.
That is true.
Like
I agreed. It's been the inspiration to a lot of like my driving force when it comes to composition, actually. And then once I got into it, I was just like, oh my god, this goes way deeper than I thought it would. Like there's so many elements of things that I used to listen to when I was like really young that I've just pretty much cast out of my brain. And it's funny, my fiance actually introduced me to it. It wasn't me that introduced her to it. She was the one who heard 100 Gex in a TikTok video. It was like an animation for Stupid Horse, and then she was just like, this just scratches at my brain in a way that like, I've never heard before. And that was actually like her 100 Gex tolerating like a ton of music that I already listened to pipeline.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff to learn from these different.
There's a lot of
music.
Y2K aesthetic involved with it too.
For sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So it kind of scratches that nostalgia for Gen Z.
I mean,
the artist that kind of coined the Y2K like art, who unfortunately I believe passed away, like either at the beginning of this year.
You're talking about Terrence. You're talking about Terrence right now.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think they were involved in like a lot of
So young.
It's insane.
Terrell, I'm sorry, Terrell, not Terrence. Terrell Davis.
Yeah.
Terrell Davis, thank you.
And they were I'm pretty sure they were involved with a lot of musicians in that scene as well. I didn't follow like them super closely though.
Yeah. That's the thing is there's a lot to learn from these different music scenes that you maybe didn't start off in or maybe didn't think you'd be interested in, but now then you like look into it. Like I've learned so much from listening to a lot of modern festival EDM about production and about, using LFOs and about, the importance of occasionally stopping all sound and coming back and how that builds tension. And like, I didn't know I would like this music, and then I did, and then I enjoyed it, and then I started learning some of the production tips. I didn't want to sound like anything I was listening to, but I certainly wanted to incorporate things I was learning from it. You know what I mean? And that's really the way you grow as an artist, is to maintain your personal voice and then continue to learn different things. And that's how you stay kind of fresh.
Actually, what you just said.
Yeah.
I think I noticed some of those elements of things that you learned from.
Sure you did.
I certainly
Never
have.
Sleeps.
Oh,
dude,
for
his
sure,
shit
man.
like
I
hits
was like trying
at a club
everything
level.
I learned.
I can tell for sure.
Every new idea that I had learned from listening to a lot of this music.
You really put it to
that's
use,
kinda
sir.
What it was. Because, well, I wanted the song to sound like the idea of trying to keep up with information, and like you have to go
Very
to sleep, but
interesting.
art doesn't go to sleep. Art
a good
always
way of putting it.
continues.
That's a cool
so,
concept.
Like, that's why it's supposed to sound frantic and like almost like clicking on a computer screen over and over and over again to something else, because art moves lightning fast, especially today. It never sleeps. It doesn't go to bed. But like this is like the exhaustion of trying to keep up to it with it, and that's why the cover art is the way it is too, with the iPhone on it. Yeah, thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of cool shit that I'm working on like that.
I have a question for you,
But then
Fibre.
also, the thing is to maintain your own personal voice as well. Like, I still have like a hypnagogic vibe towards what I do. But anyway, you know, still me. Anyway, go ahead.
I think that's also the same. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, but I dropped a remix of Jedwell's Garden, and
I
there's
did
a lot
see
of,
that.
I did.
There's a
I
lot
did.
of- Yeah.
There's a lot of like you know, things that I've learned over time that are like uniquely Fibre, I think, and there are elements of that, but then also like as the track kind of progresses, there's this like almost like ethereal like piano breakdown that happens.
I
and then
do-
it
I know
just
exactly what you're
outright
talking
bursts
about.
into this
Yeah.
like Jersey
Yeah.
club
I
beat.
I
Very cool.
heard that song, and I actually was like thinking a very similar thing about it when I went to this sort of this like a wispy piano part, and then all of a sudden, you know, something completely different. It was very interesting. It was a good song, good track. Good track.
Thank you. I definitely knew I was taking a bit of a risk with that, because it's like very different from the stuff that I've done before, and the Spotify stats don't lie. I think 50
I noticed.
listeners so far,
I saw that too.
Sometimes it be like that, man. Sometimes it be like that.
I don't know if you guys.
I did it. I'm
Absolutely.
more
And-
proud creatively of,
for sure.
of this track than anything I've made in 2021. The other thing, like the thing that I was most proud of before was Virtual World, and I've been realizing that
Great
like
song.
a lot of the stuff. Thank you. And a lot of the stuff, and that was the first time I ever sang or
I
like
remember.
did vocals.
No way. Oh,
And-
too cool.
Yeah, like legit, and it was really scary for me. And the more as I kind of go on, I kind of saw this like Porter Robinson interview lately about him talking about the production of Nurture, and he said something
I gotta look at that interview.
Like,
I love
really,
that album.
That really clicked.
I love him.
Like it kind of allowed me to kind of understand and find answers for the way I've been feeling regarding music for a while. He said something along the lines of like, you know, when you go into the studio every single day with an iron grip and just be like, I literally have to make the best thing today, or otherwise I will die. You set yourself up for failure. You set yourself
Right.
up for this expectation that you set.
Gotta let go of expectations. I say it a lot.
Where, you know, like, and for example, for me, it was like, well, I'm going to make this future funk song. It's going to be a great future funk track. I'd set myself up with this expectation that I need to make future funk, when that wasn't where my heart really was in terms of like making that music really. And you know, and then he talked about how a lot of the best tracks that were released on Nurture, or a lot of his creative process, involves just like screwing around, like, you know, bouncing the synth, putting reverb on it, droning it out, putting distortion on it, just screwing around and like showing your friends like,
Just
haha, look at how
experimenting.
stupid this is. And then it actually, like, you get an idea in your head. Now you're in uncharted territory because you're doing something that's taking risks, something that is not typically done, and then you can kind of base ideas off of that. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's why I hated my second album, because I went into the
You
studio
hate your
every
second
single-
album?
Oh, that's so sorry.
I don't.
What?
I
It's a
don't-
good album.
I don't hate it, but I just feel like it was written in a part of my life that was like I was kind of recovering from like a lot of I would say arguably traumatic things that were kind of happening to me in school and whatnot, and what was going on in my life. I was trying so hard to recover from it and to move on and to like convince myself that I did not need to heal any further.
Gotcha.
And I feel like a lot of the songs were like me trying to constantly prove to myself that yes, I can make music. Yes, I can make something that is like 70 times better than 8, 10. I have to live up to the expectation of this album and more. And in the process, I feel like I made tracks that while they were good, they were, in my opinion, kind of lackluster and could have developed into something a lot better.
I know that feeling. I know that. I've scrapped albums because of that feeling.
Exactly. Like near the end of the production of Rendezvous, which had literally at that point taken me upwards of 4 years, like I actually started Totality when I was touring for Virtue's EP with Eritis in 2016. So
shout out
so
Future
I started
Society.
That at his, my not my first label, but like the first big label that I was on, which I have a lot to thank for. But yeah, it was just like nearing the end. I was like literally finishing like one of the final tracks, First to Say, and I told Sarah like one day, I was like, I just want to give up. I don't want to work on this anymore. Like I'm so tired of this, and I'm not happy with any of the tracks. I feel like I'm just gonna scrap this album and start from scratch. And she was like, no, you're not going to do that. You can't do that. You worked on these tracks for so long. There's no point to like starting all over again. I know in the moment it feels like these songs stuck, but you've been really proud of like the work that you've done before, and you should still put this out if you feel comfortable with it. You know, take a step back, sit on it for a day,
for sure,
and then think about how you feel afterwards. And I'm just so glad I have her in my life to kind of like bring me down from like situations like that. Absolutely. I mean that's why I proposed to her. You know, she's so supportive of everything that I do, and she's an important part of my support system. But
I love that.
She convinced me to release it and to finish the track. I pretty much had like 4 versions of First to Say, and I literally scrapped like 3 versions of it until I finally came up with the winning like sample bounce. Like basically we created a sample for it. Like me and my friend Kiel, Spring Silver, we made a disco loop from scratch. And then I tried sampling it over and over and over and over again until finally, like, Sarah and I were sitting in, like, the Starbucks at my university, and I came up with the loop, and I was like, holy shit, this is it. This is it. I figured it out. And then afterwards, I finished the song basically in, like, a week. Vocals were done in, like, 3 weeks. So it was a very quick process.
Yeah, it's what it's like once you get go. Honestly, that's a lot of times what it's like is you get the idea and you gotta rush through it and you put it down and you're like, fuck, I'm done. Okay, and then you just spend like a couple weeks kind of, you know.
And you can't plan striking gold. It just kind of happens, huh?
You don't even know.
Exactly.
Sometimes you write these songs and you don't even know that you're doing it. Like you're just doing it and you're like, this part, now this part, now this part, and then I can't even tell you how I did it half the time.
Absolutely, me too. And it's like same thing with Virtual World. Like the idea for it came because I was working on a track for the Future Funk competition. I think it was the first one that was ever done. We had to flip a sample, and I couldn't figure out how to flip the sample, so I literally just used the sample for textures, and then completely wrote like a brand new melody over it. I
That's cool.
I have like a version of Virtual World called like Disco V 0.1 like on my Twitter, which you can find. And you can find like kind of like the skeleton of what would become Virtual World. When I made that, I was like,
nifty.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. I mean, it's cool. Maybe I'll work on it later. And then as the deadline kind of grew closer and closer, I'd remembered like the year prior that I told Sarah that I owed her a song, that I wanted to write her a song. And I was like, this is a good opportunity for me to do it. So I just kept pushing.
So romantic.
And then like before I knew it, I had the instrumental almost done, and then I was like, oh my god, I have to think about vocals. So I just like went to like a park nearby my place, and just like pretty much had an anxiety attack. Like I was like, how am I gonna do this?
Sometimes it be like that.
I've never written poetry in my life. I don't know how to work with words. I was just like, What do I do? I'm panicking. I have like 24 hours left. I literally wrote like the lyrics to it like a day before it was
honestly, if you ever have trouble with writing
Unbelievable.
lyrics, I highly recommend reading poetry, like good poetry,
Yeah.
not like that fucking Instagram shit, like actual poetry. It really helps because I mean that's what I do sometimes because those are the people who are best with words. Poets, like the great poets, those are the people who are best with words. You know, the ones from any era, 50s, 60s, 70s to 1800s, whatever. Like it really gives you a nice understanding. They have an understanding of flow and rhythm and suggesting ideas without being specific. So if like people are having a rut, like read poetry.
Hands down.
It helps.
Vocabulary too.
Hey,
I have been doing that.
Let me ask you a question. Why did you start making music?
Oh my god.
When did you start making music? Why? Why
Yeah.
did you want to make music? Like, did something touch you when you were younger and you wanted to be like that? Like, what was the first thing that really inspired you?
I feel like my experience, like hearing my first Daft Punk song, I genuinely believe that it was like this is how strongly I feel about it. It literally felt like a stroke of fate, like that I was destined to make this music, in the sense that I didn't know it at the time, but so my family and I are from Romania. My mom, my dad, and I, we immigrated to the United States when I was like 4 years old, and I used to have this small apartment with my parents in Virginia around '03. As far as I know, Discovery had been out for like about a year now, maybe a year and a half, and I remember being in the car, like I vividly actually remember where it was. I was in the parking lot of like the apartment complex going somewhere, and a family and my family actually shared a car because we weren't able to like really afford a car at the time, so we had like a Subaru that like we basically borrowed. One family paid half, and then we paid half for it as well, and I remember we were backing up going somewhere, and I just heard music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, like on the radio. And I was like, I literally told my mom, like I was like 6 at the time. I was like, what was that song? And she was like, I don't know, darling. I don't know. I did not find that song until I was 13 when I came across it on YouTube. I'd been looking for that song.
That's like a religious moment when that happens.
Yeah, I genuinely feel like it was almost spiritual. I spent 7 years of my life trying to find that track. Not actively, but like I just kept thinking like I don't know what song that was. I really liked it, and I wish I could hear more of it. But I just didn't know who made it. I was too young at the time to like know how to look stuff up. This was like when the internet was still pretty young, like in terms of like, commercial use. I mean, personal use, not commercial. And I got on Yahooligans and Miniclip and played Flash games for like an hour every other day. That was the extent of my internet use when I was really young, and it was just I got like into this like music listening phase. I don't know what, but like when I was like 12, I decided like I was gonna look at music that was more past like just like top 40 stuff to put on my iPod. So I started like listening to like I think like the Beach Boys and like the Beatles and stuff like that. I very quickly, by the time I was 14, I was like collecting like flax of like albums that I would like find online. I'd like rip like lossless like CDs. Like I was obsessed with having like the highest quality rip, and like it was just like I remember like I was like, oh, and here's the funny part, and if my mom was here, I swear like she would attune for this. But we had a tape player at my house, and it had like a volume knob that was like pretty big, and when I was younger, I would like duck the volume on like the beat. I was like,
oh, that's so cool! You were side shading as a kid.
About to say, like side
and I didn't know it. I didn't know it at the time. I was just like, I just thought it sounded cool.
I love that.
It was insane. But yeah. So I found Daft Punk when I was 13 years old. I was like, oh my god, this is the song that I've been looking for so long. The week after, I basically bought, like, I watched Interstellar 5555.
How
watched
cool.
all the way to the end of it. Saw
Man,
that like the
that's
vinyl
dope.
was playing at the end.
Yeah.
Bought Discovery on vinyl that next
Wow.
weekend. I
Oh, wow.
begged my parents for it. I found this really cheap vinyl record player, like this turntable. It was like an all-in-one. It sounded like total shit. From Goodwill for $2, and I just
Unbelievable.
burned the grooves to the ground in that track. I literally remember the moment then when I was like 13 or like 12 or something like that, holding this record in my hands and being like, when I grow up, I want to do this. I want to have a record of my own in my own hands one day. That was my
That's
goal.
too cool,
That was my
man.
ultimate goal for music. And I it sounds like it literally sounds like this idealistic, like this like almost like fairy tale idea of like what it's like to make music. And of course it was really hard, but I don't know, I was just really, really motivated to find answers for things that I'd like when I heard French House and when I heard Daft Punk and electronic music, it was like somebody that had been knocking on like on my door for 7 years.
Yeah,
and I
you're
was
a natural.
finally able to find the key to open the door. That's how it felt.
Yeah,
like.
that's
And it's
yeah,
just,
that's what it's like.
Those
that
influences
was-
cannot
that was
be
my
understated.
experience. I just copied. I literally just like broke down every single like sample like that Daft Punk, Justice, like all the Ed Banger people used. I
Right.
combed like gear sluts and forums on drum processing, YouTube tutorials when YouTube
Sick.
tutorials on like stuff like this was not very it was very sparse. And for 4 years I just grinded it out with not pretty much not posting anything online. Then I make a SoundCloud page. I didn't know what to call myself. And I didn't know, by the way, when I started music at the time, that personal studios and like DAWs, like digital audio workspaces, were a thing. So I was just like, when I found this, it was like a revelation. It was like, holy crap, I can make music that I can make music that is inspired by the people that I've just loved
Yeah.
for the entire
Hell yeah.
my
And not
early
only
teenage
that,
years.
but you can control all of the different components
Yup.
yourself.
You put your own personal spin on all of it.
You can control all the
Absolutely.
sounds that happen with electronic
Yeah.
music. You are now like you're like the maestro of an entire orchestra, but you have access to all the to all the instruments, right? It's crazy to think like, well, now like, man, I can just do this. Like it's all here. Like
Yeah.
it's like I'm not in a band where I need to have my buddies come over and he's busy on Tuesday and the drummer is unreliable. Like, oh no, I can do this all here now, and I can make sounds that I didn't even think I could hear.
Yeah. And also, by the way, this is like a kind of a trade secret for a while, but I guess it hasn't because I mentioned it on like quite a few like shows and podcasts that I've been on. Fibre was actually a duo when it started off. It was between me and my best friend Dan. And
Didn't know
the
that.
idea was, so we were going to work on music together and like make like house and like hip hop stuff. But the problem was that it was literally my job basically to like teach like my friend like what I had learned on Ableton because I had gotten a jump start. But the thing is that while I sort of knew how to use like Ableton at the time, there were a lot of features that I just didn't know about, and I definitely did not know the DAW well enough to like explain to somebody
Right.
exactly what I was doing.
To, like,
it was like,
teach it.
It's like trying to teach. It's like trying to teach somebody like a DAW that doesn't really like. He had made music in it, and he seemed like actually like really talented, like when he made stuff, even if it was like kind of simple. But he was depending on me for like a lot of the stuff that I had personally learned, and I couldn't provide that for him at the time. I mean, I was like 15, and it was like I know how to make beats, but it's like it didn't work out. So
it's
it
really
became
hard to
my
teach
personal
people to
project.
produce. It's really hard to teach people
doing
how
it
to
is one
produce.
thing, and
It's
teaching
not-
it is a whole other ballgame.
It's hold on. It's like
Exactly.
Exactly. So you can teach someone an instrument pretty easily. You can teach them how to, the chords, how to move their fingers, this and that. You can give them techniques, but like asking how to produce, it's like that's asking how to world build, basically. It's like nearly impossible. You can ask people.
That's a really good way of putting it.
You can ask people.
It's a
like,
different
sort of,
type of
how'd you do that
talent,
one?
too.
Like, how'd you do that one part? And they could be like, okay, well, I can show you that. Like, how'd
Right.
you do that one trick? Like, that's one thing. But how to like
Right.
start and make music?
How do I start making
Nah,
music
man.
in a
You
workspace?
you
It's
got to
like,
do. It's impossible. It's impossible. You have to do the work yourself, and then like you said, how you went into the YouTube tutorials and you comb through the different message boards. Like when I learned to produce, I grabbed a bunch of computer music magazines and future music magazines, and I would just read the tutorials on how to do stuff. You know what I mean?
Cool.
I actually have a hot take.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
It's not a hot take.
We'll see. Let's try it out.
So here's a hot take. I think that the landscape for YouTube tutorials and information on how to make music is way, way more plentiful than it was like probably like 5 or 10 years ago. That's kind of a given.
Yeah.
But I personally think that there is a certain level of experience, maybe from learning, how to make music in a DAW, like kind of how you said, like this quote unquote world building. Mm-hmm. Or playing an instrument or being a part of a band that I was never personally able to get past. Like it was kind of like this roadblock that I was hitting until I had a community that I was a part of that inspired me to push further. This is something that's
really important.
Like, community is extremely important.
And like my production knowledge like tenfold. I learned more in 2 months of being a part of like an active community, like for example like the first label that I was ever on, like Airfloor, or like later on like Future Society, which was like the collective that I helped Aridus run for quite a bit. It was like I learned more from being a part of that group and just exchanging ideas and riding the high of like being with these people and being able to actually even like interact with these people that have like these niche like sort of interests that I can't find anywhere else in my personal life, like at the time. And like that like I put out just out of nowhere these like insane tracks that I never personally thought I had the capability of doing prior. I probably would have had to been on tutorials for 8-9 years of my life to be able to get to that point. Maybe not even that. The community is such an important part. Like if you're isolated, it's like, it's hard. It's hard, man.
Absolutely. For an example of this, look no further than like your local scene's Facebook page, where the local bands post their new stuff. The people who are just making music and they don't really have much of a direction because they're working in a vacuum where they don't have a community. It's just them and their friends, and they're listening to music they like, and they put out their stuff, and it just doesn't fit anything. It doesn't, and it's also because they're trying to imitate people like these really successful bands or whatever, or rappers or producers. They're just trying to imitate them. They fall really short because it sounds amateur. It sounds like it usually sounds like a flat version of something they're trying to imitate. Like it doesn't have like a reverb depth. But once you're in a community with people and like you have other artists that you can talk to, and you can learn from not just talking to them, but just listening to their music, and you kind of also learn by their motivation to do things. I don't know, you develop your voice and you develop your skill, but like you develop your voice.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
It's not just, oh, you're bouncing off ideas off of other people and like your influence and their influence kind of like, we kind of like, we're kind of like rubbing off like all influence on ourselves.
You can feel their personality.
Sharpening each other.
You can feel their personality. You start to develop a personality too. You know what I mean?
And it's like, and I'm not going to lie. I feel like, maybe this is not like, it's again, probably like a lukewarm take, but this idea of imitation is like what is it? Imitation is like the
sincerest form of flattery
and whatnot. All I did was copy people. And I copied people badly, which is why people...
Oh, come on. That's how you get good.
No. Let me raise my hand for a moment right there. No. So that's like how new music is made. So there's like this dude from... who's the lead singer from The Specials or something was talking about...
Oh, that's Scott
the way that we... Well, that from the 80s, like like that one, right? So I don't know, man. This is just a good quote. Look, this is just a good quote, all right? Just let me talk, all right? So basically, he said the way that the new music and new genres happen is you're trying to copy the people that you really admire and like, but you're not quite there yet. So it ends up coming out completely different, and then new music is made, like,
Oh my God.
I don't know about you guys.
I try to copy, like, at first I try to copy Tendencies.
Yeah.
Like,
Tendencies. Love Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good guy.
Great. He's such a lovely dude. When I first met him, I thought he hated me because he would just send me like 2-word like replies to all my messages.
But he's just not effusive. That's how it is. Sometimes I guess
he's just not very talkative online.
Yeah, not everybody.
Some people are completely different IRL than they are URL.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, he is quite different.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember feeling like super alone before you found the community? Like, I don't know if you guys are anything like me, but I was like, oh man, I'm the only person that likes this stuff. Where's, like, I need to find some people that are like me, and then you kind of develop your own, like, I don't make music, but, like, you kind of develop your own technique, and then it's like this breakthrough moment when you finally find, like, a group of people that are similar, or, like, a collective, or just rising within the community and bouncing ideas off of each other like you guys are talking about.
For sure.
I would go even further. I would go even further than that. So after I found that community, it was like, oh yeah, absolutely. Like this is fantastic. This is definitely something
like
that is
family.
going to help me kind of like push. Yeah, exactly. It's like family. It's like this group of people that you can kind of like exchange ideas with. They can not only like send ideas to them, but it's not just really about like just like exchanging musical ideas with them. These are people that like you genuinely just become friends with, and like you have like connections. You share you have this level of like intimacy and trust like with these like people that are basically your friends, and they allow you to kind of like form these memories that like that, like otherwise like that are very like forming like of like who you become later on in life. But I would say I would go even further than that. I would say that like there was a point in which I'd found a community, and I was really happy that I was able to find this community online, and I was like, damn, this is great, but all these people are like scattered all across the world. Like nobody that I know is really close to me. And it's like that did not change until A, I was old enough to travel by myself, and B, I met Discoholic by chance.
Oh, I thought
what,
you
by
did
chance?
College.
Story time.
So story time. Okay, Montaime was in its early inception. It was probably about late, maybe mid to late. It was probably like September or October 2016. At the time, I was in a Discord call in like what was the early stages of the Montaime Discord server with Lagoon and SDR, two friends from the UK, and we were just chilling out. We were just listening to music, talking and whatnot. And I don't know who it was out of the two of them, but they were like, yo, holy crap, I just found this guy. You should definitely ask him if he would want to release music on Montaime. It was after I think Volume 1 had dropped or something like that, or maybe a little bit before that. So I get this, I'm looking through this account, and, I'm seeing like really, really cool remixes. I'm like, hey, this guy's name's Discoholic. Cool. But I don't want to like come across as like kind of like release on my label now,
right?
Random stranger. So I'm just like, hey man, some roster members told, kind of recommended that I check out like your music. You have some really cool stuff, and I think you're really talented. I'm not asking if you want to do any releases or anything, but I'm just asking like, do you want to exchange contact info? Do you want to like join like my label's like Discord server and just talk and see how things go? Let me know. And he was like, yeah, absolutely, cool. Can I add you on Facebook? And I was like, sure. So I pull it up, and of course I'm not going to give out his real name, but I saw where he lives, and I was like, oh my god, he literally goes to like the sister college of like my school. Like we don't go to the same school, but we literally go to school like 30 minutes away from one another.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, because
Unbelievable.
I've seen you in his comedy videos before, so I was like, he must know each other from college.
He's like 45 minutes away from me, and it's just like I added him, and I was like, what? You live like 30 minutes away?
So cool.
Me? He was like, dude, this is insane. And we literally met up, and the first thing that he did, like when we met up, is put this like prop, and he was like, we're filming a skit for my new album Illusion. I'm gonna record you in front of this like strip mall saying, wow, this sucks, and wow, this is great.
I feel like I remember that.
That was how he introduced himself to me.
Oh, that's so funny.
That was the first time I ever met him, and I was like, oh my god, what is going on right now? Okay, fine, I'll do it. And I think that video is, no, actually it's on a YouTube channel that's private.
Isn't it a fascinating
It's just insane
thing to be like we're used to saying, oh, this is my friend from high school. Oh, I've known him for 8 years. Oh, this is my friend from college. Oh, I've known him since I was so-and-so age. And then, oh, this is my friend from work, or I grew up by them, or I live by them now, or we met at a club. And then you have to be like, oh, this is my friend. I've known them for like 10 years. Where do you know them from? The internet music scene. They're one of
so
they're a really good friend
explain.
of mine. They're one of the most reliable friends, one of the longest, like the oldest friends I have. And it's like from the internet music scene. It's such a strange thing to say. And I'm really grateful for that, because how would I have met some of these people otherwise but through this world? And it's really enriched my life.
Even adding further context, should be like, oh wow, how did you meet Discoholic? Yeah, literally, I was in a call with my internet friends from the United Kingdom, and they found him.
Yeah, that's
and
like
and he ended up being 30 minutes away.
That's how I
being 30 minutes away.
Well, I
met a stranger on the internet.
I got hooked up with the guys from Virtua, 94 to help me with Terminally Chill, because I actually did not know, wasn't familiar with them, but Twin Pines suggested them to me, and that's how I met them.
Twin Pines is the whole reason I heard about my co-DJ that I was co-DJing with before the pandemic here.
Oh, man,
Twin Pines is like the fucking matchmaker of the Vaporwave scene.
What a weird guardian angel he is. As long as he's out there, I'm like, this is all doing just fine. As long as
Unbelievable.
He's an interesting character. But anyway, okay, and then you so Daft Punk is the first big thing that moved you. What was it like to feel like you were making progress? What was the sensation you had when you maybe saw that you got posted on like Artzie, and then you had all these views? Was that like an extreme form of validation for you, and like extreme validation as an artist? I mean, that's a very important thing.
100%.
Yeah, right?
It was like literal, like I was so happy I like screamed.
Did you feel like
could not control myself. I was, screaming and laughing?
Did you feel like you were now doing something that was important? Like you got it. Like this is validation. I mean, I am onto something.
Or like you're making a difference. You're being your truest self.
I felt like I don't think I thought that I was making a difference at the time, but I was like just thankful to be making dance music that kind of revolved around like my personal style and it being recognized. I still had like looming feelings of feeling like I'm maybe copying other people too much, or doing something specifically that is not very unique to me and might make me appear as like a fraud or something like that, which a lot of people kind of like deal with. But for me, it was more simple than that. It was literally just me like being thankful that people were listening to like a kid making beats, like making like random tunes like based off of like like niche French house producers of the past and whatnot, and just people enjoying it. And like I didn't care like whatever format it kind of came out. I didn't care that like the first Artzie like video like barely hit like 20k views. It was just like my first like foray into like working with like bigger people. It was only later though when I started getting like actual like personal messages from people who listen to my music. That's when I started feeling like way longer into my career that like, wow, this is like, I might have these feelings. I might have a specific attachment to a specific song. There might be one song that's just about having fun, or it's just about a specific feeling that I felt at the time. There are other songs that talk about like mental health and depression. There are other songs that I've made that have talked about love and, like universal love, maybe for somebody that you care about deeply, or just somebody else that's important in your life. And then hearing from other people like interpret that and be like, oh, I met like this really important person in my life, and like the first song that we listened to on like this road trip was like 810, or like
that's so special.
That's when I started to feel like, wow, it's less people just like listening like in this niche group, like kind of just like enjoying stuff that like I have put out, and more like this music is being played as like people's lifetimes are like passing by, like memorable.
That's so amazing. Yeah. There are so many times I've sent messages like that.
That is such a complicated idea to think about. How do you imagine somebody else's life?
Is it a motivator?
It's crazy. It's
like,
really crazy.
How do I imagine being a part of that equation? It's just it's just like almost unreal.
So what's crazy? So I can tell you, I remember So and Lux is in the chat right now too, so that's great. So there was this one time there was this girl named Triana, I think, or Trina, I can't remember, but she had started listening to the album I put out with Lux, the Lipstick Elite one, back when she was like 13 or something. And I remember she would like comment on the chart on our statuses on Instagram or whatever, and say how much I love it. She'd repost it, and then I remember when it came out on vinyl several years later. She saw it and was like, "Oh my God, I can't sell it on vinyl." So I just sent her a copy of it myself.
Oh, you're amazing,
I bought her a
dude.
copy from. But like she got it, and she was like, "What an important piece of my life that's now come back to me." Because you look at her at that age, and then you can look at her now, and she's like 18 or 19 or whatever. She's grown up, and you can see how she's changed and all these things, and like this was a part of her life. This was a part of this person's journey. And I remember the first time I saw them, and they were 13, and now they're this age. They look completely different. They're still going on their journey. And you're part of it. Like that's crazy. Like this person who's a human being that's changing over time and developing and turning into an adult, and I'm part of something that's a really strong impression. I've gotten these messages before too.
I'm so glad that I send those messages.
But with that girl, I could see, I've gotten these messages before too, but with that girl, I saw like the young girl and then the person who's kind of becoming an adult. And like, wow, I'm like, that person, they grew up. Look at that. I'm a part of them growing up. I think about that with Terminally Chill too.
You could be the Daft Punk for that person.
Well, I think about that with Terminally Chill a lot too, that this is going to be a part of people's lives when they look back in their 20s and they're a little bit older. They're going to be like, oh, we used to party all the time. We went to this one party. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's cute, right? Man. It's really special.
It changed my life.
I would say Terminally Chill changed my life 100%.
And me too. Wow. Thank you.
Cannot wait to play it.
Of course. I mean, it was like, it's one of the funnest parties that I ever performed at. It was definitely like one of this like these men. It was for me. It was like this like mental block that I had with performing because I had kind of gotten screwed over in the past, and it was just like playing that and like Aesthetic Nights and whatnot. Like even though it was like a kind of like a guest, like a secret set, it was just kind of like this like.
I told you to bring a USB stick because, well, maybe.
Right? Be prepared.
It was just like feeling free for the first time in a while.
I remember you told me that you pulled the car over on the side of the road and called up your girl and was like, "Should I do this? What am I doing right now? Is this worth it?" Yeah.
Right.
And like maybe the anxiety. Is the anxiety worth it? You know what I mean? Right? Like.
Speaking of mental block,
I had a lab the next day. Remember that?
I remember.
Oh wow!
Oh, of course I remember. That's a great story. I've told that story before to people.
You took a chance.
I've heard about that. Oh my God, I was so tired the next day. I don't even know how I was like mentally functioning that next day.
Worth it.
I don't know. I don't regret it at all.
You did it, man. It was so much. Well, I told you when you were done your set, like, you can start going home, and you're like, no, I think I'm gonna hang out for a little bit, and
it was great.
I love that.
It was fun. I didn't want to.
And B2B with like me and James and Pad. You know what I mean? Because we're just gonna B2B now. If you want to, you can go home. And you're like, oh no, stay for a little bit. That was so fun.
One of my favorite things you've done is when you had that little sketch where you had your controller, and I guess like you messed up a transition or something, and you were just like, I'm gonna fucking throw this controller as a skit. I think you threw it on your bed or something.
I don't think it was a sketch. I think it was a real thing that happened.
And I was just like, I feel that so much, and I'm so glad that he did that because it validates me.
That was not a skit.
You actually did that and didn't realize you were filming? Oh, I love it.
I was thinking about posting it just because I thought it was funny. And
it was.
I appreciate the sincerity.
I thought there's so much that go into those online shows. Mm-hmm. For me, I literally need to have like a full day of preparation. Sometimes a full day of preparation that I really don't have. And getting that whole thing set up, like kind of trying to like record that whole thing, and trying out different ways of recording it, setting up certain things when you don't have the necessary equipment and whatnot. It was a mess, and my webcam was quite old, and I couldn't get the white balance and the contrast and the exposure set up on it right without it looking all messed up. And Rekordbox, oh my God, Rekordbox.
Fucking Rekordbox, dude.
Fucking record. If I think about Rekordbox too much, I will literally lose my mind. But yeah, there was like this latency issue that kept happening, and you can hear in the beginning of it, it kept like skipping. It was like totality playing, and it kept skipping. And I was already like 15 minutes into recording the set. I'd done that 5 times. 5 times. And I said, if this stupid lag, like this stupid audio lag happens one more time, I'm done. And that was just my genuine reaction. I literally wanted to break
I have felt that on a spiritual level so many times.
I threw it on my bed because I was like, I don't have money to buy a new one. But you don't know how much I just wanted to. I was so defeated.
Rationality
that day.
won out.
Break it over your knee.
Headache. I just wanted to break it over my knee or smash it on the floor and just like scream. It was.
I got you.
And that happens a lot. That frustration happens a lot.
I felt so validated, man.
I appreciate the rationality there, though, of I really wanted to smash it. No, I have to keep this. It's expensive, you know. I appreciate that control. That's an important thing for people.
It like, I mean, of course I was mad, but it's like there are so many
Your
things
rage is
that,
real,
like,
yeah.
it was just there's so many things that like
fucking electronics,
for me,
dude.
I can't take for granted. Like I like at that time, again, I was in a position until like lately, thank God, you know, I'm like in a better financial position now. Still not great because I'm only doing part-time work at like my university, and you know, it's not like I'm in a position to like move into an apartment and just like start my life. I still got 2 semesters of school left, so I'm quite limited on the money that I can make, the work that I can do, and it's like, you know, $250 still kind of a big deal to me. You know, not as much of a big deal as it was, but it's still a lot of money.
Money's money, man. Absolutely.
And I can't just destroy that because I had a bad day.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
It's just going to make my life even harder. I'm going to take that misery and I'm going to take it to me when I go to bed that night. And I'm going to be miserable the next day because I destroyed my controller when I didn't have to.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the idea of just limiting the misery that you cause yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes we get so mad and we want to be rash. We want to say something bad to somebody. We want to do something bad. We don't. It's important to not do that because, like you said, the misery will carry over. You know what I mean? Think before you act.
It's great when you have the privilege and the funds to do that in front of like a crowd of people and just be able to replace your equipment pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. I'm not at that leisure, so it's just got to work with what I have. You know, same thing that happened today. You know, I had kind of a bad day. You know, like a lot of work. You know, come here. Setup is kind of weird. What can you do? You just roll with the punches and just try it. Like, I'm a stubborn person. I feel like when I decide on something, I see it through. Like, I'm punctual. And I just try to like make the best of what I got. You know, make the best of a shitty situation. That's really all you can do.
Yeah, I think it's really important to, you know, when you can do something to sort of try and elevate the form of whatever you're doing to just, you know what I mean? Like, I hate if I'm going in and if I'm just slogging through it and I'm just gonna make myself more miserable and worse. At least I can be proud that I did a good job at whatever I did, even if it was a thing I didn't necessarily want to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This is Cyrus.
Oh, who's this?
By the way.
Oh, nice.
Oh, she smells so bad.
Yeah. Hey,
but yeah, there's a lot of. Go ahead.
You have a studio, or is that correct? You're working on the studio.
So Montaime Studios is a thing that, while I have my own studio, and Montaime Studios is basically my personal studio right now. But it's also something that I've been.
I want to get to the other thing that you're talking about. It's going to be open to other artists.
So the idea is that I'm transitioning a lot of my commission work that I had done previously just under like Fibre over to Montaime Studios. The idea is that right now Montaime Studios is a rebranding of the commission work that I have been doing for a while now, kind of like with more upgraded gear like under my belt, a more formal like submission process, kind of like streamlining a lot of that and bringing it all under the Montaime like LLC umbrella. It just makes things easier for me. But right now, it's kind of to lessen the burden of the fact that a lot of physicals are being delayed right now. And, you know, there are things that we personally can't do for a while until that kind of starts to slow down a little bit, until, you know, demand goes down and the shortage is a little bit better tolerated, I think. But over time, we are planning on making Montaime Studios like something that like is a rentable studio that artists could come to, like very much like Motorbase Studios, like in Paris and whatnot, you know.
Wow.
that would be fantastic. You know, like I've been very adamant, like a lot for a lot of like my producer career. I hated the fact that when I started off making music, I was trying to make music that my idols were making, but it just so happened that those Frenchies were like really really anal about like just like not telling anybody.
Oh yeah.
Like, how they do
Trade
do
secrets
their
and
process,
such.
like how they exactly trade secrets and whatnot. And I had to piece everything bit by bit the best that I could. And I felt like that was something that like now that I finally figured it out, now that I'm stubborn enough to kind of do it, I can provide that to people and like help
Good on
people
you,
find
man.
answers that they had been struggling to. That's what I did with Pad. Like he wanted to know
Hell
a lot
yeah.
about this type of music and kind of like what went into it. So I helped him a lot with production. I helped him kind of like learn to DJ for the first time, and he
Whoa.
asked me for recommendations on DJ controllers and whatnot. Like I literally like him, like, and I guess a few other people, but myself included, were like helping him like learn how to DJ through iMessage. Like
That's amazing, dude.
and that's kind of what I want to do. That's kind of what I want to do. Like that's what I want like part of my career to be about helping other people like kind of like achieve their goals, you know? I feel like
There needs to be more people like you, man.
Kind of keep it to myself. Yeah, like, and somebody, Sleep Pattern actually in the chat said that open information is always the way to go. Well, I think that there are certain things that like, you know, it's good to kind of add to the mystique of you know, like your artist's name or like your label or whatever brand that you're
Fair.
kind of like representing and whatnot. It kind of, you know, helps like drive, you know, like people like to be interested in what you're doing. But I definitely do think that like a really important part of the work that I've done is just helping people out with music. And that's kind of why I started doing commissions. Like I had been doing audio engineering for Montaime for quite some time, and I just thought this is something that I can offer to like a lot of people, and not just do future funk, do like other forms of dance music and stuff that it isn't just dance music. And
Well,
now
also-
I've done stuff for St. Pepsi and like the Phantom's Revenge. It's just insane to think about. Just great.
Yeah,
Very cool.
You remastered, you know, my album, obviously, Skeleton Lipstick
Yeah.
Glows the Melt.
That's right, you do a lot of
I
mastering.
bet that was hard because I didn't have I don't think I have this is an older album. I don't think I have the original files anymore. I'm like, these are all at max
yikes.
volume. Like, what can you do to just kind of clean it up a little bit? And you did a phenomenal job. So, you know, you worked into a lot of different sort of genres now. And
You wear a
once
lot of
again,
hats.
Appreciate that. X Glows the Melts. You can get this on vinyl from Needle Juice Records, remastered by Fibre. And I wanted to go with Fibre.
Beautiful
Really
record.
wanted to- It is a beautiful, right? It's such a cool color.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember being like, well, who do I want to get to remaster this? I'm like, well, I definitely want to get Fibre because he comes from a bit of a different production world than I do, but I believe he thinks relatively similar to me and has very excellent taste in music. And I'm like, I think he'll do an interesting thing with this, and maybe give it a little bit of a little dash of another kind of energy that will help it out. And he did. It was fantastic. Like that first, they asked me. You know, I was originally thinking about like maybe like Angel or Zach from Doom
Fire
Trip.
I remember you
Yeah, of
talking to
course,
me about
absolutely.
that.
But I almost thought, I'm like, that might be a little too on the nose. And then I was like, let me talk to someone else, though. Let me talk to my friend Fibre, or my friend Alex over here, who, thinks pretty similar to me, but is from a different production world. And I think that might be, and I think that's a good way to approach a lot of things sometimes I'm a big fan of like reaching across the table to the different, in what you're doing kind of with Hyperpop right now, is like reaching across to understand and bring other people together. You know what I mean? And bring other ideas together.
100%, yeah.
Increase that fluidity of ideas and genres and feelings and sounds.
I have a question for you though.
For
When
me?
I sent you those first whips,
Yes.
I know you kind of told me like for your album, I know that you told me that like, yeah, that sounds great, and we kind of worked and adjusted at it first. But what was your first reaction to like hearing those tracks like in a different light? Like, what'd you feel about it? Because I had never done anything like that before in my life up until that point.
So yeah, that's a really good, interesting question, because like I was a little bit precious about this. I was like, I've been listening to them one way for a long time, But I had been
And
listening to
that's
those.
a big part. That's a big part, by the way. When I work with people, even if I'm mastering or like mixing and mastering a track, people expect, like, they get demo-itis and they expect a song to sound a specific way.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh.
I try to very carefully consider
Remastered
what I'm
versions of
working
songs can really bring out different parts and change them a lot.
I had lived with those songs long enough to be like, let's do something else with them. I'm a person who's dynamic about ideas and sounds and doesn't like to sort of, I don't long for the old days of this or that, or I'm stuck in one way of listening to things. I prefer them to change over time, and I was ready for things to change a little bit, and I thought it was the right amount of change. It was just some extra sort of spices within the braised beef of the song, basically. Just there was a slightly different flavor, but it was still the same dish, basically. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was still the same dish, but now I had some extra flavors to it, and I was ready for that. And that was my reaction, was it still sounded like me. It still sounded like my songs, but now there was a new dynamic in it. You know what I mean? And for me, it was a breath of fresh air.
I'm glad that you feel that way, because that's pretty much my goal when I work.
I don't come in.
It's like, I don't want stuff to sound like a Fibre track. No,
and I don't come in.
People are like commissioning me to do.
And I ask you to do it because I have an idea of what your music sounds like. I know what your production sounds like, and I know who you are personally, and like musically and intellectually, and that's why I choose this person. And it's like the same reason I choose a tattoo artist. I don't come in. I'm choosing the tattoo artist because of what their work is like, right? I don't really think I think that's like, if you hire somebody for anything, whether it be mastering or to do a song with them or whatever, like, you don't go to them and say, I want this, and have a long laundry list. You have an idea in your head of what you want.
You kind of let them take artistic control.
And then you let them, why would I hire somebody unless I could trust their artistic control? I'd go to a fucking robot. I'd do it my fucking self then. I'd do what you did. I would just go online and look up a bunch of shit, you know what I mean? Until it was right. But no, I pick people because of who they are as an artist. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that goes for mastering too. You know what I mean? I pick who masters the work because of who they are as an artist, as a person, as an individual, as a personality. There's a general idea of what I want, but what I want is that person. You know what I mean? And I want their energy. Cool. So why the fuck would I hire someone to master and then just give them all these like shit that I want them to do? It doesn't feel. It feels so cold. It feels so cold to me.
I've done it before though. Like there, it's like working and stuff like this.
Depends on who you're working with, I guess. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every client is different.
This is already
fun ones is like kind of like what you're doing. Like being kind of like open to like the ideas of how this can be like expanded a little bit further.
Well, this is like, I'm not choosing mastering people. I mean, like, it's like a whole. The people I'm choosing for mastering, I already know they know what they're doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the best thing to do in life most of the time is to pick people to work with or work for you or ask to hire you already know are competent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because then you don't have to micromanage them.
Well, I hate that. It's the worst thing in the world.
Having to babysit people's the worst, dude.
I hate micromanaging. Like, I don't want to do that. You want to pick people.
You're not saving yourself any energy.
And this happens to me. Like, I mean, even like professionally at my work, right? Like, I don't have the luxury of being able to pick people who are an artist to work on my art. Like, I have to pick assistants, managers, et cetera, and you get people that you have to I wish you have to get people to micromanage. I hate doing it, but you have to teach them like every little thing. So in my art world, you know what I mean? In the art world I operate in, I like to pick people to work with who I already understand are competent and have done a bunch of things that I already like and respect. You know what I mean? And that way I have to think a lot less.
Yeah.
I can let go a little control. And I like to control things a lot.
I'm similar. I'm similar to that.
Yeah.
And that kind of ties into like, I guess, something that I personally like, because you were talking a little bit about like how you hate micromanagement and whatnot. I think I'd be willing to take it to like maybe a little bit more of an unrelated level. But when you were talking about that, about like micromanagement, it kind of reminded me of some instances in which, I'm not going to name names obviously, but people that I have worked with in music, not just in commissions and whatnot, that just like never got back to me, and it just made me want to like pull my hair out, like just because like I would hear from somebody and they'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this basic task, and then I just don't hear back from them for like 3 months. It's like, what are we doing here, man? So that's I guess that's one of my hot takes.
One of your
don't
biggest
work
gripes?
with people. One of the biggest gripes that I have with working with people is, like, totally, I get it when you're, like, at a show and you're like, oh my god, we should work on something, and then it doesn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's something
That's just adulthood,
I get
dude.
That's just adulthood, and you just, like, this is just, like, a form of networking and whatnot. I get that. But it's like, when people are depending on you on a project, and you have responsibility, you acknowledge that you have a responsibility, because we're all adults here, right? And you just completely... It's not, like, necessarily just, like, fail once, but you just fail over and over and over and over again.
Right.
And...
Like, it's consistent.
People are expecting you to do things. Like, and this happened for me as well in the early stages of Montaime. You can't really expect people to just, like, have the patience, you know?
Right.
And it's like, I work with people that sometimes I will make sacrifices on people who are, like, you know, like, they're not, like, super, like, easy to contact, because they make good music. They're consistent in that, and they clearly have a passion for it, and it's worth working with those people, you know? And I think that, like, having that wiggle room is very important, because you can't expect people to always be perfect. You know, I'm not like a psychopath or anything like that.
Right.
But in extreme instances, when you work with somebody and they're just completely ungiving in terms of, like, this reciprocal relationship that you have with them, like, in terms of, like, you know, and this happens in friendships as well. Like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, right?
Right.
And then that doesn't happen, like, at all, and you just keep giving it chance after chance after chance. It's just like, I can't do, you know, I can't do, like, a business. I can't have a business relationship with you. We're probably better off as just friends.
You gotta really vet these people that you end up working with, right? Because a lot of people want to do
that.
Yeah, man. A lot of people want to do the thing. They want like, oh, 100%. We should work together. Oh, we should make a song together. Oh, can I do your show? Oh, can I play your venue? They want to do it, and they have no idea, like, you know, they're not ready, and they don't know how to time management or how to put the work in. They just want to do the thing, and they just want to show up and, like, you do all the other shit, and, like, it's just like a dream to them. Like, it's a daydream for them. They're like, oh, maybe I can just, it'll all work out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They don't actually realize that translating
they don't think about
a daydream into reality. Translating a daydream into reality is a real difficult task.
You guys both did it.
They get it's fantastic. Yeah, because it's fantastic to have.
Well, I don't
drive and to prepare it.
Look, I don't daydream. I plan. Like, that's kind
of
yeah, but the plans start from something.
It's fantastic.
Well, I know. I'm making a little Nike logo sound thing right now.
You
just do it.
Yeah, I don't dream. I plan. Like, put that on a Big Dog shirt or something.
I love it.
I don't fucking know. But yeah, like, the thing is that people, like, they see something cool happening, or they have an idea of how cool something would be, and they're like, oh, this is a cool thing, and then, like, they have no idea how to execute it. They have no idea how to plan it. And then you're doing all this stuff, and then you're like, oh, great. And then they're going to finally, when their turn comes up to do something, they're going to totally just, like, be looking at me asking questions the whole time.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's like,
how to do stuff.
I feel like, I feel like there are instances in which, I've had experiences with this over time, and I try to minimize those experiences as much as I can, because it's just like, you know, I get it that, like, you know, maybe you and I, or, like, other people, you know, we all kind of come from different walks of life, have different experiences and whatnot. Other people can help with other things better than other people can. You know, somebody who has more experience with show planning would be probably better off with, like, that show planning, as opposed to, I don't know, working on, like, the art or the visuals, or, like,
getting everything linked up.
For sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. And you outsource that, and I outsource that a lot, because because I can't do it, but rather because sometimes I just do not have the time.
It takes a village to make these things happen. It's not just one person.
It's ridiculous. And
you want the right people as in the village. You want to give the right people passports to the village, you know?
There you go.
And
there you go. Well said.
I think that is a good way of putting it. And I think it's just like that, yeah, you want to minimize, like, I guess, kind of like working with people that, you know, it's just like, there's nothing wrong with dreaming. There's nothing wrong with being like, wow, I really want to play a nice show and whatnot. That's great. You know, if that lets you sleep at night, that's fantastic. And it's like, it's great to have a dream. I had dreams that you know, I wanted to put out a vinyl record. That was literally a dream. It was, but it was rather just like the persistence and the work that goes into it, and acknowledging that, you know, like, doing something and thinking of an idea is way, way different than
Absolutely.
all the execution and the work that is going to be necessary to build up to get to that point. You can't just rely on one person to do it. So,
and you guys seem like patient people.
That was the thing that just pissed me off when I just work with other people. And that's not to say that like those people are bad or anything like that.
No, it's just that's not their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
No, it's not exactly. And they could maybe, but they just maybe aren't ready to figure out how to do that and to put the work in to do that. I don't know. Maybe they would be someday. That's the thing too, is a lot of people sometimes would be ready Sunday, but it's not that day sometimes when they come in to talk to you or ask you for things.
Thanks for the follow, bro.
Good.
It's we need to get some actual hot takes. We keep agreeing with ourselves.
I got a question for you actually that I've been wanting to ask the whole time. What's Daft Punk's most overrated song?
I think a lot of I guess that's not an answer. I was gonna say a lot of the Daft Club album, but nah, because they're remixes. I think like maybe, in my opinion, it would probably be, I guess probably Overture on Daft Club.
Because people were bagging on One More Time in the chat, bro. So I had to see what you knew, what you thought about that.
Yeah, I really like One More Time. I feel like I mean, if it wasn't for One More Time, I wouldn't be here, right?
That's why I had to ask you. I'm like, we got 5 minutes left. I've got to ask them this.
We played a remix version of One More Time at Terminally Chill NorCal over the weekend. People loved it. By the way, man, that was a fun event. But this goes to another point that I was talking about earlier about how, like, if you want to start setting up parties, doing DJ, you got to learn a few things. Like, you have to be ready for a lot of shit to go wrong. Like, you cannot freak out. And things aren't as forgiving in party world as they are in show world. So when we got to Terminally Chill NorCal, we got there an hour early to set up, like me and Fanta Cat and some of our friends, right? And Frank and some of our friends, and we got there, and like so the venue is a deck, right? It's a deck, and the deck is attached to the Thai restaurant. But once the Thai restaurant begins to close down the kitchen, it becomes a little venue outdoors, right, with like a disco ball and like a little gazebo sort of thing.
Oh, that it was outdoors. I was actually wondering.
But that's how people could hear it. It was on it's technically outdoors, but it's also on like a gazebo. Like it's still like kind of an indoor, but with an outdoor. Anyway. My point is though that when we got there, they still hadn't even closed down the thing yet. There was like about 8 tables of people there, little tables that we moved before the party starts, but there's people at tables eating food, like having like drinks with friends and stuff, and we're getting ready there an hour early to set this thing up, and we can't even do it because people are still eating. So we're all hanging around, and anytime anybody stands up, I grab the chair, I move it, and another person stands up, grab the chair, move it, until there's
taking control.
Until there's enough room to set up the fucking sound system, because we have to now we have to set up the speakers.
Y'all had to supply the speakers and everything?
No. We had to set them up.
Okay, they had them. You had to set them up.
They're in the place's closet, but like we had to set them up ourselves.
What a goddamn nightmare, dude.
We had to set up the sub bass. We had to set up the decks.
I'm gonna let you do that.
Me and Fanta Cat's the control that me and Fanta Cat used, plus Frank Jobs' thing that he was using. Get the mixer ready. We had to sound test this shit, man. We had to set up the whole fucking thing, and we're like sweating because we couldn't even really have enough room.
Party, but like,
dude, no.
I know,
so this is like really. But it's like really huge speakers. It's like the big sub bass. It's basically, setting up the whole system outside over there on that thing. But we had to do it. You have to do it. You have to be ready to do these things. You can't freak out because nobody's going to know how to do these things aside from the person who's doing it. You're the only one with something to lose. And this happens at a lot of venues I go to sometimes where they don't have the stuff set up. The sound guys don't know what to do. There's nobody there.
They don't care.
And like, you gotta really
one of the things I really gotta work on.
I don't know how to do any of that, bro. I don't know how to do any of that.
Like, you gotta take some deep breaths and be like, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Right. Yeah. It's now or never.
I got a lot of life. I just gotta remind myself of that.
We had to set up everything. We sound checked it, and you know what? It worked. It was great. Awesome party. But this happens a lot when you. But like that's the thing. It's like daydreaming is one thing, but the actual stuff when it starts happening, man, it does not go fluidly.
Having that mental breakdown 24 hours before it is another thing.
Just you have to be able to problem solve on the fly, right?
Yeah,
that's important.
100%.
So like, people want to do things and then they're not ready for it and then they don't know how to do it and then it's a disaster. So like, you got to really, really know what you're doing before you do anything big, or at least just know how to roll with issues. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
absolutely,
I guess panic control is a good thing to have.
You guys want to wrap it up and do our shout out sesh?
Shit, has it already been 2 hours?
100%.
It's
It has
almost
been.
time, and I know you're tired.
All right.
Alex, we like to do a little bit of a small session at the end where you get to say whatever you
fine.
want, shout out anyone you want, promote anything you want. You have the floor.
Absolutely.
Go right ahead, my friend.
Okay, so please check out my label Montaime. You can check it out on montaime.me. So that's just like the website itself, montai.me. We also have soundcloud.com/Montaime. A lot of Montaime roster members and a lot of music that I personally drop is on there. Just recently dropped a remix of Jedwell's Garden. That's up on Spotify now. Please playlist it because I'm going to absolutely need it. Like when this track
Yes,
utterly
sir.
fails, like no,
No,
I'll put
sir.
you on what Skelly listening to
sir.
this week. I'll put you on what Skelly
Hey,
listening
that's a glowing endorsement.
Thank you, appreciate it. But yeah, I didn't make it on the Future Funk playlist. Darn, I figured that was gonna be the case for that one. It was just way different.
like that.
But yeah, like and so on top of that, I had a major announcement happen, which actually part of the reason why I was a little bit
Saw
late to this.
that.
I had to pull
Saw
off
that.
onto the side of the dang road to do this. Fibre 810 Complete Edition is coming out on Neon City.
Yeah, saw
Cassettes
that
are going to
announcement.
be dropping on August 10th. It's going to be 200 cassettes.
Oh, next
Vinyl
Tuesday.
is coming soon. Yeah, vinyl is on my birthday. So
What? Happy
yeah, so
early
yeah,
birthday.
Happy early
thank
birthday.
you. So and I'm going to be turning 23. Oh my god.
Jesus.
But yeah.
Only
so
23.
yeah. So I'm going to be doing that. It's going to be 200 tapes. That's going to be dropping on August 10th. Later on in August, we're going to be dropping, I think it's going to be 400 records, but a date is not confirmed for that. So keep your eyes peeled. Redesign artwork from Shiho So. This is going to be the last repress of 810 that I ever do. I did the deluxe version, and the complete edition is basically the deluxe version. So the original tracks, all the bonuses, plus 2 new bonuses.
Sick.
I think it's the Fibre and Eevee collab and a brand new song that's never been released.
Ooh.
And then that's it. I'm saying goodbye to it. You know,
Yep.
please grab this. Please help me pay my student loans off. I'm trying to get rid of them. And then
You got this, bro.
And then afterwards, I'm going to be slowly working on my next album. Montaime is actually going on hiatus from September to December, so we're probably going to have some singles planned for that. We're probably going to start working on our upcoming compilation, which will probably drop sometime next summer, and more. Yeah, I'm going to be probably just working on like learning piano and like taking up guitar and like singing and stuff like that. I really
man.
want to do
Very
songwriting
cool.
for my next album,
Cool,
and
man.
I think it's time to do that. You know?
Yeah, I found that it's
I
a
believe
good,
in you.
I actually don't. Yeah, I usually organize it by like I save a few chords for my chorus, save a few chords for the verse, and then I just collage it together. Usually, 8 chords here, 4 chords here. I don't know.
It's a
It's fun.
smart way of doing it. I don't do it
Yeah.
that way. I just kind of like once it's time to actually write that, I just try to piece it together like forcefully, like a puzzle, which probably not the best way of doing it, but you know.
Well, everyone develops a style. Honestly, I feel like it's always a good idea to let people just do what they do and figure it out their own way. I feel like everybody
Yeah,
probably writes chords
yeah.
this differently.
Yeah, I think so. I just think I personally like when, and I'm not going to go too deep into this, when I was really like artistically blocked, I just looked at a lot of interviews of like artists that I really highly look up to and kind of like try to analyze like what their
for sure.
production process is and
That's
the way
smart.
that they think about making music, because it was just really inspiring to hear people like talk about how they created like some of the songs that I love the most.
Yeah.
That seemed to bring me more creativity, like different ways of like thinking of music, and
Yeah.
also
Probably insights
incorporating
and
just small
inspires.
tidbits of what I've learned
For sure.
into something that is unapologetically Fibre. So,
Absolutely.
that's the
It's
way
a
I
good way
Well
of putting
said.
it. All right. Do you have to shout out anything, Shiro?
Let's see. Well, for starters, we were featured on Groovy Kaiju's new album, so that's super cool.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance.
Ooh.
I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet.
Dude,
but I
the
know he
intro track
sampled
with
my-
Evisceral.
he sampled-
It's you going, come on,
I-
give me some fucking opinions, and me going, I'm so sorry,
I-
and I don't remember what I was apologizing about.
I hear that we were sampled on it. I haven't had a chance because I've been busy this weekend, so I haven't had a chance to listen to it. But
It's-
I will
it's pretty
today.
cool, man. I
Love
mean, it's
him.
Groovy
Absolutely. I'm
Kaiju.
very excited to hear it.
If you like
love to
future
hear the
funk,
vocal thing.
Yeah, dude, and he actually
on.
approached me about it. He's
Love
like,
him.
hey, man, do you mind if we sample? Because he's in Rosewood, my collective. He's,
Yeah, he approached
hey,
me too about
yeah,
sampling
good.
me or something. And
You
I
know,
was like, yeah, man, I'm so
Yeah,
honored.
he's notorious about...
Wasn't Groovy?
What a great
Kaiju
personality.
Groovy.
He's
Groovy
coming on Hot
Godzilla?
Takes for
He
sure.
was.
Wow. Oh my god.
We gotta get him on Hot
That's
Take.
like
We
a-
gotta get him on
He's
Hot
coming
Takes.
on Hot
so
Takes for
charming.
sure.
Like an early FSC member. Oh my god.
He is
so fucking
dude.
charming.
He's
We
one of the
gotta
most
get him on.
positive,
charming.
unrelentlessly positive people
He
I've
seems-
ever met.
He seems like such a nice guy.
He
I think
is,
one of the
dude.
most positive people that I've met is Pat. He's taking
for
care of
sure.
me when I was like hungover, like when
Oh,
he
that's
didn't
so
have to.
cool, man.
I was like, dude, you don't have to do this. I'll just suffer.
That's
And
adorable.
he's just like, no, dude. He skipped Sebastian to take care of me. He's such a
Oh
nice
wow, that's a friend, man. You
He's
better
such
keep
a-
him
he's-
around.
He's genuine. He's such a good friend. I miss him a lot. I
Love
really
that.
gotta check on him.
Shout
and
out
see how
Pacific
he's doing.
Plaza, by the way, for releasing Groovy Kaiju's music and consistently bringing him on as a what's
Love
the
him.
damn word for
He
when the
seems like
DJ
such a
is
nice
always
guy.
playing?
I should
yeah, I can't remember the
should hit
word.
him up and just.
He's
Resident
so
DJ.
charming.
Yeah, he's a resident DJ
He's
for
always
Pacific
smiling
Plaza.
in the photos I see.
He's fucking amazing, dude. I love that guy.
All right. What do I? Okay, let me do my thing really quick because I know it's getting late. What do I have? Okay, so as for me, I guess the Vaporpop compilation comes out next weekend. I've got a song on that. I've got another track
Let's
that
go.
I'm going to release called "Life You Wanted." So as soon as I get the text finished for that, thank you for the recommendation for the text editing, Fibre, as well. That'll come out. And I guess I have a remix of Pop Culture for the song Yukon that'll come out on his remix album, which is, I think, going to come out in September. And Terminally Chill Philadelphia may be coming back soon. So anyway,
Ooh,
that's good
Love
for
it.
now.
Love it.
And of course, Beetlejuice.
Let's go.
Let's do
I
it.
was gonna say when you said that you're doing a new single, I was thinking like, oh, his brand new single, Vapor Sleeps, and it's just like a lullaby.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. This is a
LMAO.
different. Yeah, I'm doing the more hypnagogic pop stuff for this next one. I've done that for the last couple of singles, but we'll get back to the fun dancey stuff soon.
Yeah, I got a couple
New
other
album.
things going on too that I didn't mention yet. But I'll let
Go
you.
for it.
Oh, so we got the Groovy
Go for
Kaiju.
it.
We got the Groovy Kaiju shout out right on his new album. Everybody check it out. Thanks for linking Lux. Destroy All Monsters. Go buy it. Give that man your money. I am being featured on an upcoming Sight Sounds and Conversations live stream.
Fun.
Don't know when yet. Shout out Codex Boy Encyclopedia. Got a really cool down tempo and deep house set coming out.
Cool, man.
A lot of Holy Other, a lot of Luzine, a lot of Ground is Lava type stuff. I've got a upcoming event for Halloween. I think you may or may not be participating. The next Homesick Fest.
No. No, I'm done with live streams for a
Done
little
with
while.
live streams. So I'm participating in the upcoming Homesick Fest for Halloween. Don't know
much
what I'm
work.
going to do, but probably like some dark synth type stuff. You know, Carpenter
man, I
Brute,
can't
Mega
wait to hear
Drive, that sort of thing.
Very fun.
Finally, of
Very
course.
nice.
Yeah, man, it'll be like a French house but on steroids, you know. And then we've got the live show that I'm going to be performing at, hopefully coming up here pretty
Ooh.
soon. It's not actually announced yet, but in Phoenix, some people that are loosely affiliated with the VA10 Association are planning
Nice,
a
bummer.
actual live show that I've been booked to perform at. So probably can't say much more, but hopefully going to get some Vapor Trap stuff for my set for a live
Sweet.
event in
Nice,
Phoenix
nice.
coming up. And yeah, that's what I got. So if Chris, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have anything else?
No,
man?
I'm done. That's good. We're good.
Awesome. Fiber, it's been so fun. I know you are.
I forgot to mention I am quitting Fibre forever and I'm disappearing from the scene.
Oh,
Good night.
Jesus. Jesus,
Forgot.
we're going to have to bring up the
Yep.
flames
Forgot.
and the damn air
Just
horn.
ended Fibre right there.
Got
Ooh.
it. Perfect.
Hey, glad you announced that on our show. Thanks so much for joining us. I imagine you're really tired, so it's a wrap. You've been so much fun to talk
I'm going
to.
to jump in my very cozy bed.
You poor
Yeah,
thing.
Stay on the line. Stay on the line with me for 1 second once we get off, though, if you don't mind.
No worries.
And all right, should we log off?
All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in.
All right.
Don't forget,
Bye, guys.
next
Thank you
2
so
weeks,
much.
hot takes. Have a lovely night, everybody. See you in 2 weeks.